learned the hard way. Nothing's overnight. Some days you lose, some days you survive. Still strong, even moving slow. Every step counts more than you know. I found gold in the everyday, and showing up and staying brave.
Dr. Ethan Surprenant,
Sir.
welcome to the podcast, brother.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a good time.
How was the trip?
Easy drive down. I got some good kids, and they enjoyed singing the songs and playing the alphabet game all the way. So kept it nice and simple.
You're St. Pete, right?
Yeah, the St. Pete area. So it's kind of central Pinellas.
Good. We're gonna get into this, Ethan. The reason why you're sitting in that chair was I'm bad. The older you get, the bigger time gaps are. You know, everything feels like it's just a couple years ago. You know. But I want to say 5 to 10 years ago, I was scrolling through my social media and Spartan, you remember the Spartan races?
Oh, yeah. The big obstacle course routes.
Spartan, I used to do those with my sister and some friends, and Spartan had reposted a video of this guy. There's like a high pull-up bar at the beach, if I can remember, at the beach, and this guy like did some kind of crazy backflip and landed. And Spartan reposted it. And then a mutual friend of ours, Morgan Wright.
Yeah, Morgan.
The Moose.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, Spartan, if you're going to post my boy, at least give him some props. So he tagged
right.
He tagged you in it. And that's how I came across you. And I've been following you throughout the years because you were, your fitness was inspiring to me. Okay, at that time I started following you. You're single, but you're doing this crazy stuff. So that's why you're here. I'm going to let you tell your story of where you are in life right now. And you and I talked a couple nights ago. There's several different facets where we're going to take this thing.
Oh, yeah.
But before we dive into it and get into it, everyone that comes on the podcast gets a Still Strong hat.
Absolutely.
This is a new design. They're Richardson 112s. My kids tell me they're the best.
Okay.
You can get those hats and shirts one of two ways. You can be on the podcast, and I'll give you one, or you can go on shopstillstrong.com
right on.
and buy one. So
Restock once I
yeah.
If my kids end up taking this one.
I'm gonna cover my boy here. We spent some money on this place. My wife told me how much we spent on this place. I didn't realize it, so now I gotta recoup some money. So
that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Ethan, what are you doing nowadays? What's life like for you? Where you at?
Yeah. Well, going back to that video, yeah, it was real funny because that was down at, I think, like North Shore Park over in St. Pete. I just had the day off, and so I was just doing pull-ups and backflips and just learning some of those things. And Spartan reposted that, and then after Morgan commented on it, then I reposted his repost, and then like all of my friends and family were like, hey, come on, Spartan, give the kid credit or something like that. And never happened, moved on from that.
Remind me, because I have a memory of it, but it's not clear. How high was the pull-up bar, and what?
It was probably 8 feet off the ground or something like that. Like just high enough to actually make me have to stand up. I'm 6'3", so I can reach about 8 foot. And so it has 3 levels to it. I think there was like a 5 foot one, and then like a 6 foot one, and then an 8 foot one. I just spent the day learning how to do flips off of high stuff.
Okay.
And that was during my Ninja Warrior years.
Okay.
So I was trying to get some social media presence because that would help me get the better chance of coming on the show.
Understood.
And so I just doing some antics around the city on some of my days off.
How long did it take you to land that thing? Because it looked high, and it looked like you landed far away from that bar.
So I had been coaching. So I think that was 2018, 2017, something like that.
That sounds right.
Some around that era. And I'd been coaching gymnastics for a year and a half at that point.
Okay.
So I had been doing flips in the gym onto soft pads over and over. So sand felt no different.
Okay.
So it really was like, can I get on the bar, stabilize, and jump off? It took me probably 15 minutes to get to the point where I felt comfortable on an 8 foot drop.
So you're athletic.
Yeah. Kind of raised that way, and always strived for that, to be the best athlete I could be, knowing that my body is a gift from God and I want to be a good steward of that. So how can Colossians says, work as hard as you can, not as unto God, not as unto man, or as unto God, not as unto man. And so how can I honor God with my body? And how can I be a mentor to the athletes that I'm saying, do these hard things? It'll make you a better athlete. It'll make you more mentally strong. How can I walk the walk that I was teaching?
So let's do that. Let's tell me where you are in life now, your
Mm-hmm.
kids, how long you've been married, what you do, and then let's pivot to athleticism.
Yeah, yeah.
How you got into it, where you're at now with your athleticism. Let's just
Yeah.
that first chapter will be athleticism.
I love it. So right now I am a practicing upper cervical chiropractor down over in St. Petersburg. Awesome practice called Cerebral Chiropractic Center. Just having a great time over there. Really handling some tough cases and learning a lot, being humbled a lot, having to be stretched a lot. My wife and I have been married for 6 years, together since 2017. I better get these dates right. So 2017, we started dating officially. Actually, it would have been, I believe, June of 2017. So we're coming up on almost 9 years of being together.
Good for you.
3 kids, 5, 3, and 1.
Good for you.
Awesome kids. They, I say often is that kids are the best reflection of our worst qualities. And so whenever I see my kids doing something that I'm like, oh, I don't like that, I'm trying to figure out where they got that from. It's usually me. And so, learning a lot of what it takes to be a good dad, be a good husband, be a good father, be a good role model for him. I still train pretty obsessively to make sure that I want my kids to be so much better than me. But if I'm not very good myself, then their better is not going to be a very high standard to achieve.
Fair, because, man, you and I are going to have a good conversation. Fair, because even today I'm 50 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody measures up to my dad. Like, my dad is the standard. So with what you just talked about, if you have a high bar standard, they're going to measure everything to dad.
That's right. That's right. And that's what we're supposed to do as fathers, is set the standard for the family. And so, I want to make sure that my kids are faster than me, can jump higher, can be stronger, can be smarter, can be more quick-witted, can do all of those things, can be more skilled, can make more in the future, can supply their family with better outcomes than even I've worked to supply my family with, just like my dad did before. Just like his dad did before him. Each time a generation of my family has just gotten a little bit further in life. And if I stay stagnant, if my wife said it today, if I fall in love with complacency, my kids will fall in love with complacency. And then the next generation will not achieve what they want.
Okay, so a couple thoughts. There's several facets to Still Strong.
Mm-hmm.
But Still Strong, I ask myself every morning when I get up, are you still strong? And it's in regard to complacency, because complacency slips in so quietly and easily. And sometimes you don't even realize it.
That's right.
And for sure, people won't realize it until months, sometimes years. So every morning I get up, my routine is a self-diagnostic.
Do you ever find that you're having to refocus, right? Like you wake up, you're like, are you still strong? Do you find that sometimes the answer is no, and you have to bring yourself back to what still strong looks like?
Sometimes.
Yeah, I think those are the tougher days, right?
Well, so it's different. Where I'm at in my life right now, it's different, because when I was younger, Still Strong was the only option, Ethan. If I don't get up and do it, the family's going to suffer. The bills are going to pile up. There was only one option for to be still strong every day. When I'm sick and I got a fever, but I got to get up and roll, because if I don't, the family suffers. That was almost simpler and easier, because now at 50, I relate to it to King David and Bathsheba. The Bible says there was a time where kings went to battle, implying that David should have been on the battlefield with his men instead of in his castle. So I think you hit a certain time in life where your bills aren't chasing you, and so you can maybe complacently slips in. And our roles change. You know what I mean? As a father and a grandfather and a business owner, like, it's not the best use of my time to be out pounding nails all day, because there's people that need me. And being in those strategic positions where I'm accessible and I'm needed. But sometimes I just want to go pound some nails.
It's fair. It's fair. Sometimes it's a little bit simpler to keep the one task, right?
Because then I know I'm not being complacent.
That's right.
You
That's
understand?
right.
So I'm just, there's always this voice in my head that wants to negotiate down.
Mm-hmm.
That when the workout says this, it calls for 5 sets of 5, and you want to do 4 sets of 5. Or you go out to do a run and you're going to do a 5-mile run and you get halfway into it and it says, hey, 4 miles is good enough. There's always that voice in my head that wants to negotiate down, and I got to walk around and stomp him. And no, this is what we're going to do. There's never a voice in my head that wants to negotiate up.
Mm-hmm.
I got to kill the voice that wants to take the easy route, that wants to be complacent. And most of the time I can identify him pretty easily, but sometimes he gets sneaky.
It's a little bit quieter. This quieter voice. You know, I saw an analogy of this kind of concept of like the slow build, kind of off target, right? Slow build towards a life of sin, a life of complacency. And it was, you know, Satan doesn't come in with a full chain and say, all right, here's your shackles. Now you're weighed down 50 pounds. He goes, hey, this one decision puts one chain link. It's not going to kill you. One chain link, which is right. One chain link, it's probably not going to derail the whole lifestyle. But then it gets easier. So the second chain link is easier. And by the 10th chain link, it's way easier to make the change, and you've adapted to the weight of it. So you're not going to feel it the same way. Just like, I mean, it's the bad version of progressive overload. Talking about athleticism. You get a little stronger each week. Well, if you get a little bit more complacent each week, it's way easier to get more complacent. Right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the biggest overcomes that comes as a father, as a husband, athlete, doctor, is if I let off the gas, not just my family suffers, not just I suffer, my patients suffer, the city suffers, the people I impact beyond my patients suffer.
I had another question for you.
Mm-hmm.
You said that you want your kids to be a better version of you, more or less.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
They're just little. They were here. They're just little. And you said that it seems to be the characteristic in your family line that you guys sound like you guys had a formula or plan to, hey, let's keep the next generation stronger, better, smarter, whatever. Is that something that you're doing intentionally?
So
what does that look like practically?
Yeah, I think I don't know if it was intentional, the steps to get each generation a little bit further than the previous. The only intention that was behind it is the core concept of my dad wanted me to be smarter. And he told me that every day. Like every day I was growing up, my dad would consistently say, Ethan, I want you to be smarter than me. I want you to be stronger than me. You have to be better than me. I have to decrease so you can increase. It has to be that way. That was like a core man-to-man kind of concept that my dad instilled with me.
Do you remember how old you were when you were cognizant of that conversation?
I don't think it became reality until I got married. Okay. Actually, I got married around the time my frontal cortex started becoming real, and I wasn't an idiot teenager anymore.
Okay.
And so I think it became reality then. But my dad had repeated that message from the time I was 6 or 7 years old, all the way through. And he still does it now. I had this little ornament growing up. It was a little kid looking up the chimney for Santa Claus. And my dad would probably once or twice a week, when he's putting me to bed as a kid growing up, he would talk to me about that ornament. He's like, this is going to be so important in your life, Ethan, is that kid looking up the chimney to Santa Claus. Now, my parents didn't propose Santa Claus. They were just using this as an analogy. And he was saying that kid has the expectation that something's coming. He knows something's coming. And so he's like, there's something that an expectation I have for you is that you will go beyond what we've already done. Just like we have the hope in Christ, I have a hope that you are going to be better than I will. And he was always that kind of message. It's like, we have this hope in Christ. And because we work to serve the Lord, I expect you to go beyond me. And his dad instilled that in him. So his dad is from Skunk Hollow, New York, upstate New York. You know where that is?
No, I know where Rochester is.
Yeah, you know where that.
And I know where Churchville is.
Yep.
My best
I
friend.
don't even know where Skunk Hollow is. He never points it out on a map for me. But
I don't know if I want to visit that thing.
No,
I know
that's-
I know there's a Hell, Michigan. I don't think I
I don't think you want to go to hell, right?
And I think Skunkville sounds about
Skunk
worse.
Hollow. So my grandpa was born in Skunk Hollow. Doing some of one of his first jobs was shoveling salt out of the warehouses there, getting it to the people and getting it out to the country. And he ended up working his way into insurance, did pretty well in insurance, and moved his family up. Then the insurance company just decimated. Like they promised something, didn't fulfill the promise, and it crushed him. And he rebuilt, still strong, bounced back from it, but instilled that value in my dad, his two brothers, and my aunt. My dad, being the youngest, knew he had to rise to the occasion as best as he could, knowing that his brothers and sisters were already ahead of him. So he steps up and does everything he can to give us a solid foundation, an anchor point. He knew he didn't want us to have to move around. He wanted us to have a safe place. And so they moved down to Florida when he was, I think, college age or so. And he meets my mom while they're down here, and they kind of anchored themselves in Pinellas County, dead center of Pinellas, 15 minutes from everything, perfect area. It's actually like 2 minutes away from where I live right now, which is super cool. Get to rebuild kind of a life for my kids in the same area I grew up. But he would consistently, and my dad does kitchens and countertops, or he did for a while, and he would say, every kid wants to be like their dad growing up.
It's a natural thing.
It's a natural thing. So I would tell him, like, Dad, I want to do what you do. I want to build those kitchens. I want to do the cabinetry. I want to do that craftsmanship. I think it's awesome. I really love he had such an artistic design. He's so good at it. And he would, every time he'd shake his head and be like, no, you're not going to do what I do. And he didn't mean it of like, he's like, I'm not saying that because you can't do what I do. You are built for something else. I don't know what that is, but you're built for something else. And so he spent most of my sister and I's childhood pushing us to do something better than what he's done, because he knew the toll it took on his body. He knew the toll it took on his mind running the business, and he wanted something better for us. And so he allowed us to pursue academia. My sister, physical therapist assistant, an awesome one. She's one of the best in her company by a long shot. Beyond proud of her. And then myself, I went off and pursued doctorhood, and wanted to learn how to help people. I always wanted to help people. And so doctors seemed like a natural consequence of that. But my dad and mom were always saying, yeah, you have to go further, go be better than what we've done.
What's your dad doing now?
He's actually working for, he just closed the shop after 20 years of business. He went to work for the city of Pinellas Park now.
How old is he?
Good question. We kind of lost track after 39. I think he was born in 67. So whatever that math turns out to be, he's getting close to 60. But yeah. And so he's doing really well over there. He's enjoying it. That's the newest career shift for him, but I have not seen him as at peace as he currently is.
Good.
He smiles in pictures now, which is cool. He's just not thinking about business on the side. He's actually focusing on the task at hand.
I'm glad we diverted this way, because the family unit, you got your little ones and you're just getting started. The family unit is so important. And you just talk about how the role of your dad in your life and where you are in life wasn't just a roll of the dice, an accident. It was because your dad was actively investing in you.
Absolutely.
And that's the fruit of that. So I think it's important nowadays with young families getting started out. It's almost like you wake up and you just start reacting to life around you.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to slow down and be intentional with those little ones, because you only got limited time, brother.
Mm-hmm.
You got limited time, right? So
yeah, that was one of the most humbling truths I heard. And it was a scroll through on social media that I saw this perspective, and it was, you get 18 summers.
Isn't that scary?
That's ridiculous. And, when I turned 16, 17 years old, the summers started to kind of move away from family summers to being friends summers.
Yeah.
So you have less than 18 summers. You have 18 years to really make this incredible impact on your kids. And that's such limited time. That's not even a quarter of their lifetime should they get to the 100-year.
I had my pastor on this podcast, and he talked about quantity of time over quality
Oh,
of
yeah.
time.
I heard that one. I like that one.
We all think, hey, quality, like we're gonna go do this thing. And he said, man, it's just the ride to the grocery store. It's just those small moments where you're just dropping those little pennies in their piggy bank. You know what I mean? Just investing in them. And that really helped me. And it's so true, because over time, those little investments, small investments over a long period of time go farther than a big investment rarely. Right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Now, and I think there's almost I would actually disagree partially with the quality time versus quantity time perspective there. That it's better to have quantity time, because if you have quantity time that's distracted, that's not intentional,
True.
it's not focused. It doesn't matter how many times you show up if you're on your phone.
True.
Right? When I coached gymnastics, I would watch my athletes watch their parents out in the stands.
Yeah.
And often I would see parents on their phone. Now they're working, right? They still got to work. It's 5 o'clock. So like they still have their, 6 to 7 kind of emails they got to answer. So I know they got jobs that have to get done, but that's a quantity time without the quality. So I don't think it's either or. I think it has to be both and. How can you make the tiny moments that you intentionally make a lot of also be moments of connection?
Yeah. And I think you're right. It goes down to intentionality. Yeah. So, man, that was good. Are you done talking about where you are in life right now?
Oh, I could go on and on. We're in so many different places, but I know you want to talk about athleticism and kind of what started off on all that.
Are you ready to jump on that?
Oh yeah, it's a whole other topic. We'll keep diving down too. We got so many avenues we could go with. But as far as athleticism, like my parents, my dad was not necessarily an athlete growing up, but he played outside enough and did enough crazy things that he knew how to have fun. And he knew how to make athleticism fun. And I remember.
So how old are you?
I'm 29 right now.
You're 29, yep. So your dad's mid to late 60s.
Mid to late 50s. Yeah, he's not quite 60 yet, I don't think.
No, he's late, because I'm 50 and I was born in 76. Michael, do that math.
Yeah. So that because he's 67. So because he was born in 1967.
59. He was born in 67.
Yeah, so it's 9 years more than you. So he'd be 59.
59.
Yep.
Okay. So 59. And how old are you?
29. Yeah.
Your dad's 30 years.
That's right.
So my mom and dad had me when I was 17.
Oh, wow.
So they're just a few years, you know what I mean? The gap was a little closer. But that what I remember growing up with my peers is my parents were the young fun ones, because when I was growing up, all my friends' kids were old. They're the ones sitting on the couch watching TV while we're playing. Meanwhile, my dad's on the floor wrestling with us. You know what I mean? Like there was that. And everybody just liked being at our house, and because my dad would like do stuff with us because he could. So I was just curious the age difference between you and your dad, but it kind of like goes against my point.
Yeah. So my like I said, my dad was intentional with the time he spent with us, and he would play on the ground with us, and he loves hosting things and being like the life of the party. That was like something that he. And he didn't want to be the center of attention life of the party. He wanted to create a party atmosphere to the state where everyone else could be elevated.
Oh, wow.
And so he would, like, let's say I had a friend coming over and that friend loves hunting or BB guns or airsoft or something like that. He would create the environment where that could be shown. And so we'd have airsoft wars in our backyard all the time. We didn't have a big backyard. It was bigger than some of my friends, but way smaller than some of the other ones. And he would set these obstacles up for us to play around. He'd have zombie hunts in our backyard. Cool. We'd have manhunt nights. He'd pretend to be a deer while we're shooting them and stuff like that. He would take the hits. And it was incredible, because no matter how tired he was at the end of the day, which he was exhausted every day.
Because he's doing a difficult job. Wow.
Every day. He always played. He always played with us. He'd get cleaned up. He'd eat his dinner, and then he'd be with us. As attentive as he could be.
I just had a memory.
Yeah.
So
share it.
You got a good dad.
Very much so. Spoiled.
If he was working hard and then doing all this stuff, I just had a memory, brother. I work in construction, framing. My kids were little, come home tired, and they want to spend time with me. sat on the front porch, and they were wanting to play and stuff. And so we played 2 games. I had this marble. I found this marble. And you see my front yard.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, all right, kids, let's play Find the Marble. And I would whip that marble out in the front yard. And they'd be searching for that marble. And I'm sitting there, like resting, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like resting. Dad, I found it. Well, bring it back here. And then I found this big, it wasn't like a dodgeball, but it was like that material, but it's bigger.
Okay.
And I was like, all right, if you guys run, and if I don't knock you down with this ball, you can stay up, later.
There you go.
Past your bedtime. And they would run. And it actually had a handle on it. Oh, that's what it was. It had a handle on it, and you would like sit on a bounce.
Oh, it was one of the bouncy balls like that.
Balls.
Okay, yeah.
So I had that thing by the handle, dude. I could whip it.
Yeah, you could.
So they would. I'd say, all right, count of 3, run. They'd take off running with their little legs, and I'd whip that thing and like.
How old were the kids at that time?
Bro, they were little. They're like between ages of 3
easy
and
targets at that
3
point.
3 and 7.
Yep. You can catch them quick.
I'd bowl them down, bro, because I can't let them not fall, because then I gotta stay up and spend a lot more time with them, and I want to go to bed.
That's right.
So you had a good dad, because I did stuff with my kids, but it was like selfish intentions. Here, find this marble,
It
bro.
buys you some time to rest.
That marble was so small, and then that yard, like, I found it, Dad.
That's right.
So anyway,
Yeah. My dad was he really was an incredible dad. And what's interesting is when you're young, you view your dad as like he can do no wrong. When you turn into a teenager, he only does wrong because you know best, right? Because you're 13 and 14, and so you know how life works. And then when you get married and have kids, you realize, oh snap, he was pretty on par with everything he should have been doing given the circumstances.
It's funny how that works.
Yeah. So he had shown us how to be active, right? You're outside till the sun goes down, till the street lights come on. And this is in the early 2000s. So like that 90s lifestyle kind of assimilated into our lifestyle. And we had some kids around the neighborhood who come over, play basketball until the lights come on. Then they all bolt home because it's the same rule. We're drinking from the hose outside, and you play, you get cleaned up, you go to bed. And my dad was always encouraging for us to do stuff like that. I turned 14, and I said, I think I was 13 at the time. Going into high school, I'm like, you know what? I want to get strong. I want to get strong like those kids I see on TV, the high schoolers that are actually 23-year-old actors playing a 16-year-old.
Got it.
And
are you talking about Saved by the Bell?
That's one of the shows we'd watch, right? But I'd see that, and I'm like, I want to get strong. I want to get athletic. I want to be in shape. I want to do that stuff. So, Dad, can I have a gym membership? And he's like, yeah, you can, but you're gonna have to earn that. And I was like, what do you mean? He was like, well, in order for me to buy you the gym membership, which I will, I'll buy you the gym membership because I know it's going to carry you for a long time. You have to show me that you have the discipline for it. And so what he had me do is for a month straight, was every day I had to do 100 push-ups, 100 or 200 squats, and 300 sit-ups every day. And I'm young, so I can bounce back from that workout and do dailies of that. And so I'd be outside every day after school doing my reps because I wanted that gym membership.
To earn your gym membership.
To earn my gym membership. And after he saw me doing it, because he'd be out there after work and he'd come out, do yard work or whatever, he'd see me doing it. So he saw I built the discipline. When the time came, he paid for the gym membership flat out. And he showed me the math. He's like, all right, it's like $300 for a whole year. If you show up every day to this gym, it's $1 a day. And that $1 is going to carry you for a long time. The discipline you get is going to carry you. And so he showed me that little math, and I started going. I think the place was called Hardcore Fitness. It was over in Penells Park on 66th Street. They sold out to UFit, and now they're a UFC gym or something like that.
Oh, wow.
It was kind of interesting watching that turnover. But it was such a cool environment. That was my first exposure to athletes, to strong guys. Like at that time in my life, I'd never seen anyone stronger than my dad, as far as like physically can move weight. And I'd watch these bouncers come in from whatever they're getting ready for their day, or they're just bodybuilding or whatever it is. And they're like got 4 plates on bench, just repping it. I'm like, how is that even possible?
What's funny is a couple things.
Yeah.
One, our brain kind of like sets these limiters on what's possible. until you see somebody doing something, and then it like slowly unlocks.
Mm-hmm.
You follow me? So just being in an environment where there's 4 plates, where your dad maybe could do 2, like 4 plates was impossible.
Mm-hmm.
Just being in an environment where people are pushing these boundaries, it's like, it happens to me. I automatically set these parameters on myself. Like, this is, you got it. You're good within here and here,
Mm-hmm.
until you meet someone else that's past your boundary.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, okay, so I can go farther. Like,
Yeah.
it's, and that's another thing about Still Strong at 50. I'm curious, how far can you go with this thing?
That's right.
You know what I mean? That's like I'm kind of like looking forward to being what I'm 70, 80. Like, how far can you go?
Yeah,
So,
I saw a really crazy video. I think it was like a 92-year-old who ran like I think it was like a 15-second 100-meter
wow.
at 92. I was like,
Wow.
cool. If I'm not doing that, I'll be embarrassed.
Wow.
Like, now that I know that that's possible, you have to be able to pull something like that off.
So when you were a kid in the gym, did you have any mentors in the gym? Anybody kind of take you under their wing that, looking back, like showed you how to lift properly? Or
I only ever had one guy come up to me, and I was doing deadlifts, and he corrected my form there, but I didn't really have anyone approach me in the gym.
so you were
Directly.
You were kind of self-taught.
Yeah. So there was this, there was these guys on YouTube, buff dudes, and they had free plans. They were just starting their YouTube channel, and they were big guys. And so I was like, oh, let me just do what they do. They're big. They've done it. Let me just do what they say and see what happens. So I printed out their plan, and I just followed it to a T. And I got they had a free diet plan. So I followed their protein diet plan and their protein recipes. And I learned to cook that way. It's like, how can I fuel my exercise best? And I didn't learn advanced nutrition or anything like that. That's way later. But I learned the basics of how to start fitness as a kid. And then what kind of fueled me beyond that is like, I would have older guys not mentor me, but just encourage me while I was in the gym. Like, dude, you're looking big today. And I'm like this scrawny 14-year-old. I'm like still like 100. And I think at that time I was tall. So I was probably like, at 14, I would be probably 5'11", almost 6 foot at that point. And I didn't put on the size, so I was skinny at that size.
So when I was 13 or 14, my grandfather, he owned some duplexes in Fort Myers here. This fly is going to kill me.
I've been seeing that the whole
He's
time.
been flying around this whole time. We'll make this fly famous here. Wish he just land on my phone.
It has.
Yeah, because he stays there. Like, stay still, fly. My grandfather, when I was like 13, 14, he owned these rental properties, and he had to evict someone. And one of the guys he evicted was this big old jacked black dude, like big dude. And he left his stuff there. It was all weights, like the old metal weights.
Yeah, yeah.
And so my grandfather gave them to me. And I still remember those things. Like, I was so excited, man. Like, it was the good ones, not the plastic ones filled with concrete, but it was like the actual metal, like
The ones that make the nice noise as you move around.
Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It says 45, but that thing is definitely 60 pounds.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that was my introduction to wanting to get strong. And then so I'd work out and stuff, not knowing what I was doing. And then there was a guy that would come to our church. He was a Vietnam vet. He was a Green Beret. He was the chaplain at the local prison here. And he was disciplined in his fitness. And he saw my weight set. It was like the good one. You know what I mean? It was the good one. So I think he just wanted to use my stuff, use this kid's stuff. But he taught me, his name was Bob Whiteman. He taught me how to lift. He would come over. So you get this 40-year-old guy come and hang out with this 13-year-old kid in his bedroom and like lifting with me.
That's awesome.
I still remember that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah, those mentors who come alongside you and bring you to the next level.
showed me how to do it right, how
That's
many
right.
reps you're supposed to do. I remember doing 21s with him, the curls, 21 with him, and just arms on fire, but not wanting to disappoint him. You know what I mean? So anyway, I was just talking to you. I'm having my own memories.
Having some of those flashbacks.
that I had forgotten about. Those things that kind of shape us and make us without even know you're being shaped, or that how important that was back then that you're still using now. Like those little seeds that were planted without even realizing that they're of value.
Yeah.
So thank you for like helping remember these things.
Yeah. Yeah. So from there is just it was, and then what is nice is I ended up, because I trained under that same program for quite some time. And then I started playing basketball around that age too. I played in middle school a couple times, but like church leagues and stuff. I wanted to be on the basketball team. And I don't know if you know much about high school basketball, but if you're 6'3", you're a center.
Okay.
Because everyone else is 5'9" in high school, unless you're at like the top schools. So you're 6'3", a center, playing against 6'9" guys who are going to college.
Got it.
So you only have one option. That's be strong, like real strong. And so it was get strong, get athletic for that purpose. So I can grab a rebound, box a 220-pound 16-year-old out to the 3-point line so he can't grab his rebound, his 20th rebound of the night.
I got a nephew. He plays basketball. He's big for his age. And my brother is his coach over at the school. But it's funny because he plays at center position. And I hear my brother, because the kid hasn't grown into his body yet. He's big, but he doesn't know how to use it.
Kind of clunky.
He tells him, get big and get strong. So that center position is what you're talking about.
That's right.
You're be strong, get big, take up some floor space.
That's what you got to do.
So
that's what you got to do. So it was get strong. That was the only option I had. And so I would lift with the bigger guys and lift with some of the football players and try to get strong so I could do that. What happened is as I learned how to get strong, I had to then, like you said, learn how to get coordinated, get skilled with how my strength came. Because I didn't want to hurt people. I wanted to be controlled with it. I couldn't foul out of the game. I needed to be there. So I learned how to learn the athletic steps, how to be explosive, how to be quick, how to use the muscle that I put on and make it fast. And that's a whole different kind of training. Speed training, true athletic training is a whole different kind of thing. Not bodybuilding style. It's not isolated work. It's a lot of full body coordination, use your body well kind of stuff. So I learned that avenue. And then that's about when things started to become self-taught. It's like, okay, I knew what bodybuilding was. I knew what athletic was. Well, what happens is a lot of times is people who are inexperienced get injured on that transition.
Yes.
You get stiff from bodybuilding. You're not mobile. So then you get injured while learning to be an athlete. Or you think because you're strong and can squat 300 pounds or whatever, you can jump the same kind of force. But the force vectors don't align like that. So to save myself, I was learning more of the rehab kind of stuff. This is like 17, 18 years old.
Wow.
Learning how to rehab my body. I had been seeing chiropractors for a long time. And so that helped a bit. Their perspective helped me stay kind of holistic and full body knowledge. It was around that time that I started taking dance classes,
Really?
learning how to dance, how to move my body in that way. And then at that time, I met some people who invited me to Ultimate Frisbee.
What kind of dance?
It was all kinds. It was like hip hop. I had a history of jazz and ballet from elementary school. But this one was like hip hop, West Coast swing, a little bit of East Coast swing, partner dancing, some stuff like that.
I would imagine it came pretty natural to you.
Because I had the history of it, my like child brain kind of just reinvigorated. But I was way clunkier. So like, it's really funny. I have a bunch of people who are like really smooth in their movements. And then this like bodybuilder kind of dude, like really choppy and awkward.
The reason why I asked is we had a woman, Adele Smith, on the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
She's a ballroom dancer in her 80s. And I read a study about dancing, how it's good for the brain, and like in regard to like there's some kind of study in regard to like Alzheimer's and dementia. That listening to music and moving the body, the music does something to the brain, like creating these new tributaries in the brain. Like the worst thing for the brain is routine, driving the same place every day, the same job, eating the same like routine. So you got to create these new tributaries for the brain as you age. So I started taking some dance classes with my wife.
There you go.
She's a cheerleader. She can move her body. I don't know how she does it. She just listen to the music. I'm trying to listen to the music, but I don't hear what you're hearing.
My feet don't listen to the music. They don't have ears on their own.
Bro, so I'm counting.
Yeah.
And she's just laughing at me.
This is ballroom you guys are doing?
Huh?
Is this ballroom
It was all
dancing?
different kinds. Salsa. It was all different kinds
Right
of
on.
stuff. It was all different kinds. So I'm counting, and bro, my brain is literally sweating, trying to do something that's come so natural to her. So that was really difficult for me, man. I would come out just like fatigued. So
Yeah, because you're mentally exhausted and physically exhausted, and then those things kind of like blend together, and you just crash the body.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Man. So I do hard things.
Mm-hmm.
I was boxing at the time. Boxing came more natural than the dancing.
The dancing.
I had to really focus, and she was like, I'm like looking at her, and she just like laughing because I'm concentrating so
Like
hard.
the most intense stare of love to your dancing partner there.
So that's funny.
Yeah, yeah. So
you're very well rounded with your athleticism.
Yeah, and kind of how it kept gravitating. I just kept learning new disciplines of fitness. So I met a cool family around that time who they started this like ultimate frisbee Sunday discipleship thing. And so I would attend there and I'd meet the whole family and we'd play ultimate frisbee. And so that was a nice transition this is after high school, so I've graduated at this point. Doing the dancing, doing ultimate frisbee with them. They invite me out to do some Ninja Warrior stuff for the first time. And I was like, sure, I can do a pull-up, so I should be able to have fun with this. And we had gone rock climbing a couple of times with them, so they invited me to this ninja thing, and we have a great time. I do the salmon ladder, I do the warped wall, I do some lache stuff, do some swings. Had a great time. And so I grew really close to them. And we're doing ninja, and we're doing rock climbing, and we're doing, the son, he told me about a gymnastics gym that was open, or that was hiring. He was going to get a job at. And I was like, oh, sick. Let's go do that. And so I got the gymnastics coaching position there. And then learned how to use my body through gymnastics. Learned how to coach everything from 5 up to 5-year-olds. I think my youngest actually was 4. Crazy kid. That kid was so talented. But from like 4 years old up to like my oldest, I think was 72 years old.
Wow.
Who is getting back into gymnastics after a long time. But you learn rhythm there. You take your dance history, you learn how the rhythm goes. From playing basketball, I did learn the rhythm of a dribble and how to do, if you dribble the exact same way every time, the defender can take the ball, because it's a good defender can read that rhythm. So you have to be unpredictable in your rhythm as a ball handler. And so I learned a little bit of that after high school when I was able to play pickup and stuff around the area. So I learned the rhythm there, translated it around, and just kept finding the ways to take different avenues of fitness and make them analogous to each other.
Understood.
How can we blend all of these thought processes? And then what's the nervous system doing to that to create adaptability? How can we use the brain to rehab the body to rehab the brain? How can we kind of blend all these ideas that I've been consuming?
And how old are you when you're having these thoughts?
So that's 19 to 21. Is my thinking through that.
Those are some scientific thoughts for a 19-year-old kid.
Yeah. I was like, my dad kept saying when I was a kid, was like, you're going to be for something else.
Yeah.
And I think that's when God started really putting it on my heart, is like, it's going to be that kind of a thing. And I was pursuing, so when I was in like 6th grade, I was sitting in the doctor's office. This is kind of where this is like why it blended. It jumps all the way from there from 6th grade up to 20 years old. I was sitting in the doctor's office, about to go home sick from school for whatever reason. And I was like, you know what I need to be? I told the front desk that. I was like, you know what I need to be? I need to be a doctor. And the front desk is like, what? I go, well, my mom is taking care of me, getting me from school. I should be able to take care of them in the future. I have to be a doctor. And that was just the thought. That's where it was planted. That's where that drive got put on me. And kind of investigated what kinds of doctors were out there from that age of 19 to 21. And I was pursuing optometry, actually. And I don't know how familiar you are with like the structures of the eye, but I got pretty obsessed with it over that period of time because Charles Darwin, one of his statements was along the lines of the eye is one of his biggest doubts to his theory of evolution because of how complex it is. Right? Light comes in through a hole in the eye that's covered, focuses through a lens, projects on the backside of the eye, and then these rods and cones make sense of an image that is inverted,
right,
with color, with brightness, transmits that to the brain, and the brain flips it so you can see what's going on.
Right.
And then that visual information tells your body what to do in the space you're in.
Right.
So it changes the way your ears and inner ear reacts to coordination. It changes the way your legs are going to react, your arms are going to react. There's like these deep connections neurologically from the eyes. And I was like, oh, snap, I should do that. That's super cool. Shadowing opportunities never worked out. So the doctors I was trying to talk to and get communication with never worked out. And so I was talking to my chiropractor at the time, and he invited me to shadow him. And so I was having these neurologic thoughts. I was having these, like, I got to figure out how the body works really well. He invited me to shadow him. And that's kind of where that chiropractic kicked off, was that moment of shift of like, here's the doctor I want to become, is something like that.
That's how life works.
Mm-hmm.
So you're built for, I believe everybody's built for a purpose. Everybody's built for something specific.
Mm.
And then when you get kind of like tuned up to what I think this is what I'm meant to do, and then to have somebody that you're not pursuing or some random person or thing just fall into your lap and it takes it in that direction, it kind of solidifies that, yeah, this is what, when you look back at your life and you have these goals or thoughts or ideas or these dreams, and then as you're having these dreams or thoughts about what you want to pursue, to just have random people come in, just throw a little bit of gasoline on that or mentor you.
That's right.
It's interesting how that works, and that it kind of like, as you continue down that track in life, when it gets hard and you doubt, am I doing the right thing? You can look back and say, no, I am in the right place because of this, that was out of my hands, because of this influence, all things that I wasn't controlling.
Yeah, you start to retrospectively see all the doors open.
Right.
Like, that open door led to this open door.
Right.
It had to be this way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's seizing all those opportunities as they present themselves. Like when Ninja presented itself, just went that avenue,
Sure.
learned that avenue of fitness. When Doctor presented itself, you just pursue that.
Let's take a break. I'm going to kill this fly. And then I'd like to talk about, in the field of fitness, like the different energy systems and that type of stuff. So you talked about the bodybuilding thing, and then you talked about moving heavyweight quick.
Yep.
Can you speak to how muscles work, like fast twitch muscles, like the different muscles, like how the body works?
Yeah.
And then from there, we'll move on to something else.
I like it.
Let's do it. This part of the podcast is brought to you by Boots and Bubbles. This is a special one for me, man. It's my two girls, 15 and 17. Boots and Bubbles specialize in Southern-style dirty sodas, an alternative to your regular boring soda. If you're in the Lee County area and you want to book them for an event, find the link in the bio. In the meantime, let's get back to the show. All right, brother, we're back from the break. I don't know if this fly's gone or not, but I don't see him.
We left the door open for a little bit to see if it would get out.
He is annoying me. So with your expertise, let's just talk about, because I love this kind of talk, and
Yeah.
I like barely scratched the surface with my knowledge of it, but different type of energy systems. So when you're lifting, like you mentioned bodybuilding, there's a way they lift where it's slow movements, the eccentric
Eccentric is the downward. Yep.
And then I'm working with a guy twice a week, Vadim. He's an Olympic weightlifter.
Wow.
And that's moving heavyweight quick.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also working on my flexibility with that.
Good deal.
Right. I had a girl in here, Angie. She's a power lifter. That's moving heavyweight, bro, slow and controlled. And when I was doing like that heavy lift, slow, like heavy squat, something happened in me emotionally. Like all the weight of life like came out, and I would either get mad or I would break down crying. I remember when this happened with my wife. I had her work out with me for a while, and I wanted to test something on her. I had her doing some heavy deadlifts, and she just had a mental break. Not a mental breakdown, just an emotional breakdown.
Wow.
Because she's the rock of this family. Everybody goes to her, and I felt like she had no outlet. She had no hobby. So I just say, just come on, I want to test something. And she's like, she's grunting, like hey, time to get back on the bar. And before it's over with, she just had all these emotions into one. She's crying, she's frustrated. So there is a thing that happens when the body's under heavy stress, under heavy load, moving heavyweight quickly. That's a different system. Can you just speak to this on a scientific and like a level from a doctor to help me understand the importance of each one of those energy systems?
Yeah.
Like all of it.
Yeah. I mean, that's where we go through Cliff Notes version of an exercise science full program, right? Get everyone an honorary doctorate before done here. So a lot of the work that I do is brain driven, brain based, and neurologically kind of framed, right? So the way the body works from its root at the very beginning, as soon as conception happens, is the neural tissue starts to form. That neural tissue guides development, right? So the first thing to happen is those cells converge and fall into the neural tube. Notochord is how it initially starts, begins the nervous system. That nervous system, the electricity in there starts to direct what the other cells in that little embryo divide, how they go, what genes get activated. So from day one, minute one, all of the nervous system is what's guiding the developmental process. What ends up happening is as you get to athletic age, you start to use your body, right? And when I say athletic age, I mean as soon as you're out of the womb and need to take that first big breath, your brain has to tell you, I'm not breathing amniotic fluid anymore. I'm not getting oxygen from an umbilical cord anymore. It's out here, this gas I have to sort through.
Wow.
So the brain has to perceive that. As soon as the brain perceives that, then it says, okay, now I need to find mom. So it starts to root. We start to get those primitive reflexes. Nervous system is guiding all of these little stages and steps. When we get to actually training, actually getting into athletics, we have to think about the energy systems from the neurologic perspective, because the only reason why we can do a squat, why we can bench anything, why we can deadlift anything, why we can jump is because the brain perceives the task at hand, equips the rest of the body to accomplish that task, and adapts in real time during the task to lead to the output. So take a squat, emotional breakdown of a squat right there. All motion in the body can be tied into the limbic system, emotional centers of the brain. When I say motion of the body, it's this concept called proprioception, how well the body perceives itself, right? If I close my eyes, lift my hand up, I know my hand is up because my arm is reporting to my brain what I'm supposed to do. Well, during a squat, you get under that bar, you throw it on your shoulders, find that right spot. That's not a bother, right? High bar, low bar, mid bar, whatever it is. You lift that weight up. Your brain has to register, is this weight going to kill me? Or can I handle this? If you're squatting an okay weight, it's going to be closer to that this is going to kill me thing, which means your body kicks into its fight or flight state a bit heavier so it can stabilize what needs to get stabilized. It can kick the heart rate into higher gear. It can get the respiration to what it needs to do so you can get the right oxygen to the right muscles, to the right stabilizers, and then that squat commences. And every change in angle of joint angle, your ankle joint compresses, your knee joint compresses, your hip joint compresses. All of those have little stabilizers that are also reporting to the brain. Those little reports are telling the brain, as we hit this angle, I need you to recruit this muscle this much, this joint this much, change this receptor this much. We make our way through the squat. We get to the bottom. We tell the brain tells, okay, I want to go up now. So it shifts the quads from a stretching motion into a contractile motion. So that the muscle spindle starts to come together, ratchets together, and contracts that way. The glute muscle starts to contract, the calf starts to contract, all because of the proprioceptive feedback to the brain. And then we stand back up. So, and we work our way up. Okay. So when it comes to the energy systems in the body, we got to frame it neurologically. We don't make movement without the nervous system telling us to do XYZ movement. When it comes to the types of like anaerobic versus aerobic exercise, again, that's a nervous system feedback loop. We have to do it fast, and we don't need a slow burn energy. We got to use a real quick release of ATP. That's our anaerobic without oxygen kind of metabolite. And then if we want to do something for a longer term, a longer run, a 20-mile run, a marathon, 50 reps of a squat, we require that aerobic exercise. And so, or that aerobic system where we supply the blood with more oxygen to accomplish the task. And so it recruits different muscle fibers a different way because they have different neurologic feedback. The body doesn't like to use aerobic with oxygen for an anaerobic movement. And the body doesn't like to use an anaerobic system for an aerobic function. So the brain shifts back and forth between all of these things. So when we look at different types of fitness, and what's nice is the kind of the dream is that everyone on earth can work out to their max capacity. Now, what they have to do is different, right? Some people like Pilates. Some people like weightlifting. Some people like kettlebells. Some people like barbells. Some people like athletic training exclusively. Some are just calisthenics. Some are just yoga, whatever it is. But the idea, the hope, especially from a doctor perspective, is that every person can use their body the way they were designed and push their limits to it. And so what happens often in the fitness space is people will try to get nitty gritty. Like, how can we optimize and bioengineer like the perfect conditions for a squat, the perfect conditions for a max lift? But it doesn't really work that way. You can't necessarily exploit systems. You can get that like extra couple things there, but the average person doesn't need to do that. The Olympic lifter, we have to get those extra needle moves to achieve it. But the average person, to just stay in shape, to just retain their health overall over the long run, simply needs to follow a couple simple guidelines, which is pick something you're going to continue to do and then challenge yourself in that each time. And if that challenge is going for 10 seconds longer than you did the day before,
understood,
lifting 1 pound more than it was the week before, those little things that'll equip it. And that equips the brain to start adapting heavier over time.
Understood.
I know it's a lot to unpack there, but
like when you get into that upper range of like your abilities, like say we talk squat, when you get up on the upper range and you've maybe this weight, you've done it once. So you got that, you have that sense of, okay, I've done it once under your belt to give you some confidence, but you still got to get your mind right. And, that's what I found, like when I'm going for what I think is my maximum. And I don't know if my maximum is limited by my muscles or if it's limited by self-doubt. I don't know. I'm like up in the air.
So what often happens, and you hear stories about this, is like a mom whose kid's trapped under a car. She lifts the car.
Yeah.
She definitely did not deadlift 1,000 pounds last week, right? She didn't train for that. So why is it that something can kick into a high gear? That's the question, right? How can we use that understanding to achieve more levels of athletic development? And that right there is this, people have heard about it, the sympathetic, parasympathetic nervous system, probably.
Yes, there you go.
Right? The ability to get into a fight or flight state.
Yes.
And the times that we need that versus the times we don't. So for anyone who doesn't understand that split, we can just kind of break it down in a few moments here. We have 2 sides of the nervous system: the somatic conscious control or the autonomic unconscious control. Autonomic subdivides again. We look at this like tree of breakdown. Autonomic goes into sympathetic and parasympathetic. Auto meaning we don't control it. Autonomic part of the body. Sympathetic and parasympathetic. Sympathetic is our fight or flight response, our gas pedal, the one that helps us go really hard. This is the one where if we have a job interview or we have a performance review or if we have an athletic event, it's the one that kicks our heart rate to high gear. It's the one that increases our respiration, the one that helps cool us down so our body doesn't overheat. It's the one that you feel that stress response. That's the fight or flight, which is good when you need to be ready for a stressful situation, right? If you're going to squat 1,000 pounds, you better have that sympathetic firing. Then there's the parasympathetic nervous system, which is our rest and digest. It's the reason why after the heavy lift, our body can recover to a calmer state. And we don't go from what you remember you're saying, it's like you feel the anger or the emotion during the lift. Then afterwards, it kind of brings it down a bit. The parasympathetic is that brake pedal. It calms it down. That's the rest and digest. And that's the reason why we go from lifting, or if anyone who's done a long run knows you're not really going to go to the bathroom during the long run.
Right.
That's a parasympathetic function. During the run, you need your sympathetics firing, so you're not going to go to the bathroom. You don't need a break. You're running from a tiger. You don't need to stop. You need to survive. Parasympathetics brings it down. In the parasympathetics, that's when we can get our recovery. And so when we have the limiters to our body's potential, it's really a question of how adaptable is the nervous system both ways. Right? If we can visualize kind of a meter, like a line graph, dead center is perfectly balanced between sympathetic and parasympathetic. Many people operate favoring the sympathetic. because life is stressful. Their job is stressful. Supplying a family is stressful. Don't know where groceries are coming from. Don't know where gas is coming from. People are stressed out so often. And so when they try to go to the gym to get that extra capacity, they're already almost crashed.
Understood.
And so it's a lot harder to kick into that next gear because you're already in that next gear.
Wow.
So if people are in that boat, we can work to increase the parasympathetic side. Not so you're always relaxed and crashed all the time, but so that way you have the most capacity to kick into a high gear.
Understood.
Does that make sense?
That does make sense.
Yeah. So it's like you have the lever. If the lever's almost already pulled, you can't really do too much. But if the lever is all the way, you've got the most room to work with. So a lot of times people's potential is limited not by their actual strength capacity, not by their muscles firing. It's limited by the nervous system's ability to understand what the task is.
Understood.
Yeah. And so it's a self-limiting, not even belief. It's like physiological self-limiting, which is that's a tougher thing to overcome only because there's not a lot of teaching that direction.
Understood.
Yeah.
That lever thing helped me understand that, because if you're already stressed out, you can only go this much farther.
That's right.
But if you're chill,
correct,
you can go.
Correct. It's like the dad. It's like the dad who's always chill, or the mom. Mom's better. The mom who's always calm. Like my wife is the most level-headed individual ever. Like I'm a bit more up and down than she is. She is so level-headed so much of the time that when she blows up, it's a much bigger explosion because like she's got more potential for it. It's been building up for the longest time.
Got it.
And so we all kind of quiet down. We're like, yes, ma'am. Because she has the potential. But she gets to be in that more restful state.
Understood.
Yeah. So when building athleticism, a huge step for those trying to get into it or trying to optimize where they're at and trying to push their limits. One, like we talked about, you don't know what's possible. If you don't know what's possible, then you're never going to be able to keep striving for it. But that self-limiting belief and then self-limiting physiology is what seems to get in people's way of achieving it.
That helps me.
Yeah. And that actually applies to like pain syndromes, right? Talking clinician stuff. If someone, this is something fascinating about pain science, is when someone gets an injury, their brain records that injury and does things to protect the body from getting that injury again. And so people who develop a limp, if they just continue to lean into the limp over and over, the brain accepts that's reality. I can't change that. Which means you're trying to, at the moment when you're trying to heal from that, like, oh, I have a bad knee. Oh, I have a bad elbow. The more you reinforce that, the more the brain believes I can't achieve X because of the limiter. So if I've got a bad knee, I can't achieve this because of my bad knee. So it limits the potential for training. But if we know that all pain syndromes are mapped in the brain as memories, we can start to lean into some of those pain syndromes a bit and start to rehab the body, saying like this range of motion is safe now. Somebody broke their arm, someone breaks their elbow, they're limited on how well their elbow can move for 6 to 12 weeks while the cast is sitting there healing. When they get out of the cast, the first thing they got to do is go to PT so they can start to trust their range of motion again. And the brain will trust, I can go a little bit further, I can go a little further. And once the brain trusts those pain syndromes or trusts the joint to handle the load, it can start to heal. And so we have to, as athletes, do the recovery portion to build the trust in the brain, right? Your trainer's got you doing stretching and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because it has to trust that you can move in those ranges of motion. Otherwise, it'll send it into that fight or flight and crash your system before you get to the lift.
I'm glad you brought that up because I had him on the podcast and we were going to mess around and like do some Olympic weightlifting, which I've never done before. Just like average Joe versus, a true Olympian.
Oh yeah. I remember that one.
And we were warming up and he noticed there's no way I'm going to be able to do a snatch in the warm up. He just knew it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, what's going on with his shoulder? I was like, well, I broke this collarbone as a kid. I said, it just, whatever. I said, I've been trying to work on it. And so I had an MRI done and I got some like little bone fragment things in the front.
Yep.
I have my scapula's kind of like locked up and I got moderate to severe arthritis in my shoulder. But the hardest thing I do with him when we train together is stretching everything out. Dude, cold plunge used to be the hardest thing. Like it never gets easy. Like you get anxiety every time.
There's a bit kick into high gear there.
Now getting ready to do in the bottom position, snatch grip behind the head, pulling that down, stretching it out. When he says, "Hey, you're gonna do eight reps of 4 sets," that gives me anxiety because it's so much pain stretching that out. And but the body's been adapting to it.
That's right.
I was afraid to tell him I can't do this.
Sure.
I was afraid to tell him no, so I'm just like doing it. And now I can actually, after the first set, it's still stiff, but after the second set, it's lubricated up. The body's like, okay, you've done this before. It remembers.
Right. You built trust.
You built trust. And I know I can go this far now. So it's just funny how I thought, again, we talked about that voice, and you had that weak voice. Okay, well, you're 50, you have arthritis, you don't have to do this now. And I was trying to talk myself out of not doing that one exercise because it's so painful. But he makes me do it, and it's getting better.
Yeah.
Even with freaking arthritis, it's getting better.
Well, what's wild is arthritis is always taught. You hear it's bone on bone, like it's this demon that exists inside of your spine or inside of your joints or something like that. And there's too much literature about arthritis not being the cause of pain syndromes. It can cause some, but it cannot cause the amount that it's blamed for. And so you hear like your knee is bone on bone, your shoulder is bone on bone, your spine is bone on bone. It's over. You're done. The only thing you have is surgery and sitting for the rest of your life. And it's just physiologically, that's not true. You can't necessarily remove a bone spur, which is what arthritis ends up progressing towards, is these osteophytes, which are bony growths to add extra kind of concrete to support that area. But it doesn't lead to pain syndromes often enough to actually warrant the fear that's around it. And I think that's a bit of a sensitive spot for me in the work that I do, because the amount of patients that I have who I take images on and they've got arthritis and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's what's causing all of my problems." I'm like, it's just not.
Wow.
It just doesn't, there's no correlation clinically to those things. Unless we're having it touch the nerve that comes out of your spine, or unless it's poking on a soft tissue because it's grown that far, it doesn't really work that way. Not often enough to say definitively every time. Like I said, rarely. It does happen, just not nearly as common. And so what will happen more often, especially in the case of shoulder injuries with a fracture.
Oh, I tore my labrum too.
You tore your legs. Adding more. It's adding more to it.
It's an old injury. I'm just remembering. I tore my labrum also.
Holy cow.
And I got bicep tendonitis. So it's jacked up.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what happens, what came first? Did the clavicle come first?
I don't remember, because it just
kind of went with
probably because when I was 15, this dude, Michael Selby, God bless you, Michael Selby,
calling him out completely.
Freaking sumo, like belly to belly sumo at school,
man.
And it collapsed like that, and he knocked the wind down on me.
Yep.
That was probably what it did.
So what happens is the clavicle. So you have the clavicle, the scapula, and the humerus. They all work together for the shoulder girdle. It's this whole region that has to work together. So when I bring my arm in, my clavicle should collapse. When I bring my arm out, my scapula should move. My clavicle should go with it. It's this whole thing that should work together. Well, what happens often is we injure one of those spots. Yours was a fracture. Well, to protect the body has this fascial lining. We have the skin, we have the muscle. Between those two is this fascia.
Right.
This fascia is an electrical signal. It's lubrication. It allows the body to move much smoother. Well, to help with the protection, the body registers where the injury is and then takes that fascia, which is usually in a nice orientation.
Not mine.
And no, because you got it hurt, so it tangles it.
Yeah,
to stabilize.
Mine's a knot underneath my collarbone. It's a knotted mess.
And so what happens is the clavicle's biomechanics are lower. So the body has to do something because you still have to use that shoulder. So it says, all right, I'm going to move this area a bit more. I'm going to change this biomechanic. I'm going to do that. But eventually the body breaks down over enough time. And that's why that's my suspicion is just off of this first, off the cuff, when the guy you were training with says like, all right, bring your shoulder into this position, it's taking all that fascia, which had mangled here, and it starts to move it into more of that position. And then over time, more of that position. And eventually it gets into that nice line where it can handle that load. And if you train it in not just this direction, but that direction, and then this direction, now it can handle all of those directions. And so the body, there's a book, Body Keeps the Score, right? You get those injuries,
Right.
the brain maps it and says, I have to protect it, but I still have to live. So it works its way down.
Figures it out.
Yeah. And then it lays down the arthritis, the concrete to help stabilize further. And then that's about when symptoms start showing up to a pretty extensive level. You'll go see a doctor. Doctor will say it's bone on bone. You're done. And they'll just kind of write it off. And like only surgery is the option. Or sometimes you'll have a nice hopeful doctor who says, all right, do some PT.
It felt so satisfying to give Vadim the MRI imaging and the list of everything I had, because it was like 2 pages of all this stuff. And I'm thinking, okay, this is not me saying I can't do this anymore. This is the doctor saying I can't.
The doctor saying it.
And he like looked at it like, huh, that's cool, and put it down.
That's right.
And he made me keep going.
That's right. That's right. And the amount of times I see that, like, it is uncanny. The amount of times I'll see someone who believes what the doctor said, which is awesome. You want to have a good doctor that you can trust, who has your best interest at heart. But there's these 2 frameworks that I see common in the medical system, in the holistic system. And it depends on what's the end goal for what's the perspective on the nature of health? I think that's where a lot of these issues and this kind of dichotomies come from.
Okay.
Is the nature of health that we're built for dysfunction? Or is the nature of health that we're actually built to heal? And it is my perspective, and it is a lot of holistic practitioners' perspectives, that we are built for health.
Yes.
If we go all the way back to the Garden of Eden, we're designed for optimized health. We're designed for health because we were intentionally, Adam was supposed to be able to worship God in the Garden of Eden forever.
Right.
Till sin enters the world, and that completely degrades. After the flood, we get the 120-year limiter or whatever it is that I've heard about. So we're designed to heal. When I get a cut, I don't have to think about it. It does close up, and it does heal. Not because of the Band-Aid I put over it, not because of the Neosporin I used to kill the bacteria. It's because it's healing. The body's designed to figure out every way to still retain function. If we were made more towards the law of entropy, the thermodynamic breakdown, then we would notice people much more often just getting decimated, just like their body breaking down at a much faster rate rather than trying to recover ever.
Understood.
So the brain's trying to keep us going. And then natural cell death happens, but we are always striving for how it can retain the top health given the mechanical limitations. Then we've got some DNA activation in there where we have every cell has DNA in it. That DNA has little ends called telomeres. Those telomeres, as cells divide, they break down slowly. So it leans more toward that, but it only breaks down when there's enough oxidative stress. And anything stressful in life can cause oxidative stress. But the body still tries to figure out how to heal in spite of that system. So when a practitioner is seeing a pathology, seeing a problem, is their perspective that you're designed to be healthy, or is their perspective that you're designed to be falling apart?
Understood.
And if their perspective is that you're supposed to be falling apart, right? They write you off at 50 years old. They're like, yeah, you're done. You're supposed to be breaking down now. That's a miscommunication, and that destroys hope, because you should be having at least 50 more years of awesome health, having a great time. Then you fall asleep and go see God.
Thanks for bringing that point up.
Yeah.
Because as you were saying that, I'm just scenario after scenario. Oh yeah, you're 50 now, or yeah, you're 60 now. That's your, yep. And that almost gives you the script to stop. It almost gives you the script to, okay, well, that's it. Thank you for that. Hey, I know where I'm going with this now.
Yeah.
I know where we're going with this now, but we're almost there. From this transition, I want to make that jump into holistic chiropractor.
Yeah.
because it seems to be like a smooth transition right now with where we're at in our conversation. When I called you the other day, when I was a kid, chiropractic was like a fake doctor. It had that stigma of, that's for doctors who can't become real doctors or something like that. I just remember, I don't know where I got that from. When I was a kid, there was that stigma.
Sure.
And you said it was like a real thing. So can we talk, and we've already talked about energy systems and how certain things work, but can we talk about it from your field of view, what you do, how the body works at another level that we haven't talked about, and just spend some time in that in this chapter of the podcast.
Absolutely. So I think we were talking about how, like the stigma that comes with chiropractic is like, oh, I went to go see a chiropractor. Oh, you went to go see a chiropractor. I hear that they're really bad for you. It was interesting. There was, it was like Chester Wilk versus the AMA back in the 1980s, 1990s, that there was this huge antitrust lawsuit of the AMA, American Medical Association, trying to defame chiropractors. And it didn't stick. They ended up winning the lawsuit. It ended up being this whole thing. But the repercussions of that were that medical doctors and physical therapists and osteopaths were like poisoned their minds as far as what chiropractic does and what it is, and that it's practicing medicine. And at least the circles that I'm a part of, we don't claim to practice medicine at all. In fact, the philosophy of it is more commonly touted that we as chiropractors find the areas where the brain can't perceive the body well and improve that perception, allowing the body to heal as naturally as possible. Now, some chiropractors, because of things that have happened in our clinics, we have a tendency to claim we can solve more problems, like that we can do it all from just chiropractic, because we've seen some incredible miracle cases. And I'd love to share some of those. We have some incredible things that are unexplained from other perspectives. But this healthcare field ended up getting kind of like poisoned towards what chiropractic really is, what it really does, how it affects the body, how it affects the brain. What's really nice is that as we enter into 2020 and 2026 and going into the 2030s, there are more practitioners out there right now who understand what chiropractic is and does, that the entire narrative is shifting. We have enough new doctors in the medical field who've been around a chiropractic holistic space that generally the perspective of chiropractors is moving more towards the favorable side within the things that we help.
So I can testify that just in my own small world and my own relationships that I have. Again, I don't know how old I was. I'm 20 years old, maybe. So 30 years ago, a friend of ours had a baby, and she took her baby to the chiropractor like the first week, and that was like so weird and like what kind of voodoo is this?
Gotcha.
But my daughter Lily just had her 9-month-old son. Yeah. And he goes to chiropractor regularly and gets his little adjustments, and it's just it's like a normal thing. So in the 30 years, the perception and where we're at now, I think testifies to what you were just speaking of. Yeah,
there was a really cool research study kind of like evaluating the perception of chiropractic in the field, just to see like, all right, what do people think about the field of chiropractic? And there was a direct correlation between the way, the amount that someone knows about chiropractic, the more favorably they view it. This is applied to practitioners across the nation. So the better a physical therapist understands what a chiropractor does, the more favorably they view chiropractic. The better an osteopath, the better they view it. The more a neurologist understands it, the better they view it, which is great because we're all of us practitioners, despite the viewpoints that kind of we all hold as far as what helps the body and what doesn't. We all have the same exact goal, which is get that person healthy, whatever it takes. And we have different avenues to make that happen, but we're trying to figure out what's the root of the problem and can we affect it? Can we help that person? Since we're all on that same team, right? Then any arguments are simply person to person instead of goal to goal.
I think we're the people that I associate with, we want to try to figure out, for instance, my shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Can I get this healed without getting cut on? And I want to go that route first.
Absolutely.
And I think most people that I talk to, were before years ago is, all right, you need surgery and that's what you do. But now it's like, are there some exercises I can do to open some things up? Are there some things that I can do?
Mm-hmm.
Am I mineral deficient? Like, are there some things that the body needs that it's not getting that can heal this?
Yeah.
And again, one of the first times that we dealt with this was my daughter, Brooke, Michael's wife. She was in high school and she was real active. She played volleyball and she had a thing called snapping hip syndrome.
Oh, yeah.
And bro, when we would go to Disney World, we'd have to get her a wheelchair because it would just be inflamed.
Mm-hmm.
She couldn't walk.
It's just rolling over the hip joint.
Pop, 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 pop.
Yeah.
And sometimes it would come out of socket. My wife learned how to put it back in socket.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So she's a teenager and it's she plays volleyball and then she's in bed can't walk for a week. Okay. So nobody would touch her because she was so young. They do it for older people. They want to do surgery, file down that nub so that thing could go over. And there was one doctor up in the Chicago area, I want to say, that would do it, an athletic sports person that would do it. But my wife and I just didn't feel like, just didn't have peace about it. So we came across a holistic chiropractor guy here locally, and let's just try it. And he gave her a regimen of exercises to stretch that thing out. Gave her some supplementation because she was low on, so she had some mineral deficiencies.
Yep.
And bro, in a few weeks, she was ready to rock.
Yeah.
Good to go. So
yeah, and so I think that comes to the perspective of, like, again, what's the root cause? Is the root cause because your bone has grown too far out and it's snapping over the joint? Or is the root cause because the body's not supposed to have that snap? Are we missing what's called the bursa, which is like that soft tissue guard between that ligament and the greater trochanter on the hip? Is that the root cause? Is it because the body can't supply and refill that balloon with nutrients? So we got the mineral deficiencies. Is it because the muscles around it are tight or weak in such a way that it can't pull the muscles where they're supposed to be? Completely different perspectives.
And then if we can start with you, and then, okay, I think I can help you go through there, and then maybe it does need surgery. I mean, maybe there's a point where there's some kind of deficiency and it needs a surgery, but I think our culture is so geared towards, cut me open, right? And there's alternatives. I think, dude, I don't like this thing here, these bone fragments. Like they told me that's like a 10-week, 12-week recovery time. I'd rather just exercise it out and like try to get it.
Exhaust every other option before you create a controlled burn, right? Before you damage the tissue in a controlled way. The surgeons are incredible. Surgeons are the surgeons we have nowadays are so much better than ever in history. They just have some of the best training. They have some of the best resources available to them. And we're spoiled over here in the States that we get some incredible surgeons. But if we can find every possible route before damaging the tissue, we have to explore that.
Understood.
Have to. And we'll see, we were talking about the kind of pediatric patients, right? The small age. Why would you take a kid? And when people think chiropractors, they're thinking the TikTok videos that get thousands of views and stuff of like you put the mic next to the neck and then make some cool noises and stuff like that. And that's not actually, I have yet to meet a chiropractor who adjusts children that way. Especially young babies. Usually it's a very, very gentle approach. I myself am a pediatric certified chiropractor, so I see pediatric patients in my office. The youngest I ever adjusted is my third child, who's a year old now, but I adjusted her within seconds of her being born because she had the cord wrapped around her neck. And so I'm there at the birth center with my wife, and she comes out, and as soon as she's on mom, I'm like, I gotta start getting her cervicals in line, because I know that houses the brainstem. I know that that's where a lot of these proprioceptive integrations are. I know that if damage is left there alone for long enough, the next steps can get into the developmental disorder kind of stuff.
Wow.
And I'm glad I did, because while I'm sitting there in the birth center with her, she comes out, gets on mom skin to skin, and I'm watching. She's not able to really turn her head and try to find to latch. And then my wife's like, yeah, she's not latching. You got to do something there. And so I started adjusting her upper neck very gently, and I adjusted her cranial bones, and I adjusted her jaw, and I started working on all these little biomechanics. And I would adjust it, and then I'd let it go, and then we'd get a little improvement, and then she'd detach again, and I'd check it and adjust it again, and then she'd reattach, and we kind of went back and forth like that for like 10 minutes straight. And by the end of it, she was latching, turning, eyes open, ready to go. So she's currently my record of like 8 seconds old. My previous record was my son, who was about 5 minutes. We were in hospital at that point. I had just finished learning how to adjust kids in school there, getting that training. And my son, this is a natural birth, no C-section, no forceps, no vacuum. All the nurses are just kind of standing around because my wife is crushing it. She has handled these births so incredibly. She trained for that. Are you talking about training and making sure that you can get the nervous system down? She trained that way. In that moment, she'd be able to handle it. Incredible. There is a good wife is hard to find and should be treasured. Man, I got a gift. So anyway, she pushes him out, and on that last push, the OB has to catch him because he's flying. He's about to launch out across the room, and the OB catches him, and at that same moment, his head tweaks because he's like flying out slippery. His head tweaks, and he goes from pink to blue like in a second.
Really?
Yeah, and it was terrifying. And some babies come out gray, so it's like, the nurses have seen it before. I've seen the pictures. I've seen it happen before, but when you go from pink to gray, something happened there. And so I got real nervous. I'm staring at my wife. She's staring at me. He's not really crying. We had only one kid at that time, so we knew like they're supposed to cry. He's not really turning. He's not really latching. It's like weak movement. It looks really rough. And so my wife's like staring at me. She's like, you gotta do something. Like, help him. And like, I'm sitting around like, I got doctors around me. I don't know what I'm allowed to do in here. It's my kid, but like, I don't know what I'm allowed to do. And so like, but he just wasn't getting better. He wasn't crying. He wasn't breathing. He wasn't doing the things I'd expect a newborn to do. And so I took my hands, and I just found his atlas bone, which is the top bone of the spine, surrounds the brainstem. And I adjusted that really gently. I held it in the right position. I felt all the muscles start to kind of melt away. He goes and then cries and lets out this belt of a cry, and he's trying to find mom now. Boom, he latches. He finds right away. He starts getting that skin to skin, and like the doctors the whole time were like, oh, don't worry about it. He'll be okay. Trying to encourage us. Right. But he wasn't getting better. After that moment, he goes from blue to pink, getting better. I can breathe. My wife can breathe. Whew, all good to go.
So when you did that, were the doctors aware what you were doing?
Not a clue. Or if they did, they didn't say anything about it. And I adjusted him. And so, I was worried that they were going to say something about it genuinely. But they didn't see it. They didn't really care. They didn't know what was going on. It might've just been dad hovering over his son.
Understood.
But and what's nice is, I don't know what life would have been like had I not done that. All I know is the life I currently live is that my son is thriving beyond that. And he's doing all the things you'd expect a young kid to do. He's eating, he's sleeping, he's pooping, he's moving, he's running around, he's getting loud, he's hitting his milestones, he's talking like crazy. He's energetic, fun kid to have around. And so those are my two youngest patients I've ever adjusted.
What's the importance of adjustments? Is it important? Like, my neck is always tight. Like, is it important to get chiropractic adjustments, and what causes the tightness and all that stuff? Like,
so I very much am a proponent of everyone on earth should be under chiropractic care to some extent, but not just like I have an ache and pain, and so I go get a quick cracking sound of an adjustment and then never see it again for a long time. In the same way that I'm a proponent of everyone should be in some level of fitness for their life. They should use their body
Yes.
for their entire life. They should at no point become a couch potato if they want to be healthy. So I very much espouse that everyone should be under chiropractic care. And that's because the effects that it has on brain health completely. Well, we can dive in on that one. But the effects it has on the brain, the effects it has on the nervous system, the effects it has on the immune system, on the normal functions of the body, they kind of just keep increasing. There's a wonderful group of researchers over out of New Zealand who are trying to figure out some of this neurology, like what happens during the adjustment. And what they'll find is, or what they found is, at the moments of adjustment, the brain's frontal cortex or sensory motor cortex, so the backside of the front side of the parietal lobes, gets a better perception of the body. That proprioceptive increases, which means that the brain can now, as it sends a signal to the frontal lobes, have better executive control over the body, which means when the body sees itself better, it can make better decisions as far as what needs to happen. So often medication, Advil, you have a bum elbow, you take Advil, you take an ibuprofen, whatever it is, and your elbow pain goes away. Really all you're doing is numbing that area with that medication. You're changing the brain's perception of that area, so the brain's like, I don't need to freak out anymore. Well, with chiropractic care, you actually change the way the brain perceives it in a more beneficial way. It'll find the problems and then administer the internal medicine that has to happen to it. A good example is like digestive issues that we'll see, especially with kids. When we have a digestive problem, constipation or diarrhea, either one of those, the brain can't get the right signals from the gut to tell the gut what it should be doing. And so if we end up having a break in that proprioceptive chain, the brain can't tell the gut, hey, you're supposed to move and get this stuff out. You're supposed to hydrate some areas, take these nutrients out. You know, you're supposed to cycle through all of this stuff. And when we reconnect it with that adjustment, the brain can perceive that area better and say, oh, I found the problem. I know what I need to do. Got to hydrate the stool over here. Got to get some more water out here. Got to absorb these nutrients there. And it starts to move better. So we see constipation improve because we're having better perception of the gut full system. If we have vestibular conditions like dizziness or vertigo, stuff like that, that's a proprioceptive problem. It's a mismatch between the eye, the ear, and the proprioceptive information that's coming in. And when we do that adjustment, it changes the way the brain perceives all of those signals, and it can actually organize it. Great way to you. How many kids do you have again? 7. It was 7 kids. So when they were young, they'd come in the room. Like one of them would come in the room and blame one of the other ones for something that happened. Sure. Right. And then the one that got blamed would come in and tell you a different story. Mm-hmm. And then a third witness would come in and tell you a different story, right? You're getting a bunch of different information you don't really know what to do with. And so you're like, I can't make a good decision until I have all of the information. So the adjustment organizes all the stories and says, oh, I know what to do in this situation to adapt better to it in the future.
That's a good picture.
Yeah. And so the New Zealand research group over there, they're figuring that stuff out. As far as immune system goes, there's a wonderful study by a Florida local, Dr. Julie Hunt, who she did a research with a bunch of other upper cervical chiropractors about the way, like, do we have influence over the nervous system? And there's this really cool molecule called secretory immunoglobulin A. This thing comes in all of our secretions. So it's saliva, nose, eyes, inner ears, wherever your body kind of like oozes, for lack of a better term. This immunoglobulin is in there to detect pathogens and defend the body. And they found that after an adjustment, after an upper cervical adjustment, we have a boost of this secretory IgA, of this SIGA protein. So you're having not necessarily a hyperactive immune system, you're having a better defended immune system.
Understood.
It's like you have a bunch of guys who are sitting on their castle wall and they're looking out and trying to figure out what's going on out in the field, make sure no one's attacking them. And you just gave all those guys spotlights. Way easier to find a problem when you can see it. So because of the effects that that chiropractic has on digestion, on respiration, on immune function, on cognitive awareness, there's another few studies about the spinal fluid flow and the way it decreases Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia, can increase the brain's body to detox and clean out itself. Because of all of those improvements in function, it's almost like a no-brainer. It's like once you know that the chiropractic adjustments can do that, it's like, yeah, you should probably get under good, consistent care.
What's a good regimen for the average person?
That really is so case by case. I would love to give like, all right, flat out, you got to see this many people. It's going to be this predictable. It never is that predictable. What would be the best thing to do is you find that good chiropractor who understands the nervous system and is not just trying to chase the pain syndrome. Okay. Figuring out how the nerves are disconnected. Is there an effect on the neurologic function? So are they measuring autonomic functions? Heart rate variability is one of those things, or vestibular coordination things. Are we finding those functions that we don't have to think about? They should be automatically run. Are they looking at it from the neurologic perspective? And then are they evaluating the other elements of your life that could affect that? So you asked a question earlier. What causes these kinds of misalignments? What causes these neurologic issues afferently, these sensory issues? And it seems that they fall into three categories.
What are they?
First one is physical traumas. Hit to the head, car accident, fall off a bench, as a baby, falling off a changing table, things like that. C-section, vacuum, forceps deliveries. Second one is emotional stressors, right? You talk about how you and your wife, you're working out and you're having the like emotional explosion because something's going on in the body that hasn't been kind of dealt with until you get a good enough proprioceptive input. Go for it.
People say, I carry my stress in my shoulders, or I carry my stress. So that's a real thing.
Very much so. Very much so. So that's part of the body keeping the score. Absolutely. What happens is in that fight or flight state, so many mechanisms happen, but one of the biggest ones that happens is we get this like protective mode, right? Babies in utero are in this fetal position. This is our protection. You're getting beat up by the bullies at school. You're going to fetal position. You try to protect yourself from everything that's happening. So you carry your stress in these areas, but that's not where the stress is. The stress is not your shoulders. The stress is the way the brain perceives the stressors. You can increase the adaptability of the perception of the stressor and then decrease the way the body is afflicted by it.
Okay.
So yeah, emotional stressors. And then the last one is toxic overload. And this is excessive medication at an early age. A lot of kids will deal with antibiotics early on when they get some infections. They'll get given antibiotics. Those antibiotics will destroy gut bacteria. Gut bacteria is kind of termed as our second brain. So if we destroy if we use the antibiotics, destroy the gut bacteria, what ends up happening is the gut bacteria can't protect us from bad gut bacteria. It can't absorb the right nutrients. It can't produce the right the right metabolites that we use to actually fuel ourselves. Like I think it's vitamin K, I believe is like a byproduct of gut bacteria. So you have to have good gut bacteria to have good nail development, good hair development, right?
So I had another one of my daughters. You haven't met her yet. She's gonna be 18 here shortly. But when she was 5, 6, 7, maybe, she had gut issues, and she had some type of like you said, you got good gut health, like, and bad. She had this. Man, I wish my wife was here. She had something going on with her. It was a legitimate thing, like some kind of viral type thing. Okay. Yeah. And she was in a hospital. It was debilitating. She was just out of school for weeks. Like it was a problem.
That's gotta be hard for y'all.
And it was kind of like a long-term problem. It's been going on for months, so it get better for a little while. Then and she landed in the hospital, IVs, everything. She has this thing that I can't think of the word. And so the hospital was wanting to give her a prescription that would strip everything. it would strip all of it. The good health. It would
Reset the
it would
whole
just
thing.
reset the whole thing. And again, my wife has an intuition as a mother, you know, like, So we went to a holistic guy and said, hey, here's what they said she has. And through like some natural, like some liquid silver and through some natural remedies, it took a little longer, but she got over it.
That's awesome.
She got over it.
I'm glad for you guys on that
I'm
one.
thankful for science and the medical community, but there's also some natural remedies. I just feel like I would prefer as a dad, as a protector, provider, caretaker for the ones I love the most, to let the body heal itself and give the body some natural things to get it there. And if that doesn't work, then okay, let's cut me open if that's what we have to do.
Sure. And I've had to give patients that news. Is like, listen, we've hit the capacity of conservative medicine. It is important that this, which is not getting better, gets evaluated by that surgeon at the highest level. Because there's sometimes a limitation of matter, right? If we're noticing a pattern of it's just getting worse, then it might not be a conservative case. And that's okay. Sometimes that's how it is. But we should exhaust all the opportunities go into that. Yeah. And so when it comes to, those three things is, traumas, toxins, and thoughts. Those the easiest way to remember, like what things cause those misalignments, what things cause those neurologic stressors. And if we can kind of whittle it down to those three things and figure out, all right, how can we manipulate that? How can we build adaptability? One thing that happens is, you tell people, all right, if traumas and toxins and thoughts cause the problems, then you should avoid traumas, toxins, and thoughts. That's a terrible way to live.
Right.
Because those things are going to come.
Right.
Like life's hard, and it's supposed to be hard because it's supposed to create men of character, women of character, people of intention who have a value in the day. So it's going to be hard. So we have to increase the adaptability, the ability to handle the load that comes. That's right. Build that resilience. Have that intentionality towards resilience. Have to have it. It's like that anti-fragile mindset. We're made for health. We're designed to handle incredible things, and we should build the capacity to handle those things.
And I get you're helping my own mindset. Even you just saying the body's prone to self-healing. That helps my mindset because we're so quick to, the body can't do it on its own. I need an Advil or I need this or that, just because of where we are in society and in space and time. Like everything is a quick, watch TV. How many ads do you see that are about these new prescriptions that are coming out all the time? So everything's like a quick fix medication. Give the body time to do its thing, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah, those medication things. My wife and I have a fun time. Those are the only ones that we unmute, my wife and I. Those medication commercials, because we get a kick out of the side effects.
Crazy, right?
Yeah. Who was it? A comedian Tim Hawkins a while ago. Like back when I was a kid, he put this special out, and one of his funniest jokes that I got a kick out of was like, "I'll take the vomiting, headaches, nausea, and fainting to make my elbow feel better." Yeah. Like that, I got a kick out of that. And
can I ask you,
please?
It's gonna sound like a dumb question, but I do want to know.
Yeah. The
cracking noise. What is that?
Oh yeah. Like that's gas leaving a joint.
Is it really?
That's all it is. So within the it's called the synovial joints, which are the ones that move really well within your body. That synovial fluid can have a tendency to produce nitrogen gas. That nitrogen gas produces little bubbles. We move the joint, and then it makes the cracking noise. That is not what the adjustment is. That if it's there, it doesn't help or negate the adjustment.
Okay.
Actually, kind of interestingly, is I practice more of a neurologically focused chiropractic care, so I do a lot less cracking and popping in my practice. And the instrument that we use is a sound wave instrument. So I'll take some advanced measurements of the upper neck, some pretty crazy biomechanics that happen up there. And so we'll measure that area, and then we'll use this really gentle tool to adjust that. And so I don't crack the upper neck but I still get the neurologic changes that come with that.
Understood.
So the cracking sound is nitrogen leaving a joint. And it doesn't mean one thing or the other. I've done plenty of manual adjustments like that where it doesn't make a noise and the nervous system changed. And so what's our outcome? Is it to make a fun noise that really gets good views on social media? Or is our goal to change the nervous system to have a better viewpoint of the body? If we stay in that one, we tend to get much, much better results.
Understood.
Yeah.
Again, I'm just having some thoughts while we're here before we move on.
Yeah.
If I'm living a stressful lifestyle, or say I'm going through a divorce or some traumatic thing that's just got me stressed out, and I'm locked up, and I go get an adjustment, but this situation doesn't improve. I'm still dealing with lawyers, like whatever hardship you're going through that's got this. How long does the adjustment last for? Like, because I feel like you got to fix your stressor along the same time. So it's not just, there's two things going on here, right?
Yeah, you have to fix the source of the bad water.
Okay.
Right. So absolutely, you have to figure out ways to navigate those tough, difficult situations. Like I've had some patients who they had mold in their homes, or we just had those hurricanes rip through a couple years ago here in Florida, and that decimated their homes. So they were stressed out of their mind. They were relocated. So the stressor was there, and that made their nervous system crash significantly harder. It was a lot more work to keep them up. Adjustments will vary in time as far as holding times go. But if you don't fix the polluted source, it's going to be a lot more patchwork.
Right.
And you're going to have to go way more aggressively to make up for the lack thereof.
Understood.
I've had patients in kind of both categories as far as like the source of stressor doesn't change, but we're still able to make progress because we shifted the intensity to bring it back.
Understood.
And then took everything else they could control, right? The polluted water was out of their control often. So we made sure their nutrition was good, their exercise was good, their habits were good, their mindset was good, that they were in alignment, which built the capacity to handle the stressor. And so when we're doing this kind of care, an adjustment is likely not going to do what we all really want it to do, which is be that fast, quick effect. It's a long period of care. And the best way I've explained that, and when I say long period, it kind of varies between 12 weeks and a couple of years, depending on the situation. Decreasing frequency over time. But it's like when you go to the gym for the first day, you go to the gym, you've never been there before, and you get home and you look in the mirror and you're like, I lifted for 2 hours. Why don't I look different yet? Where's my abs? Where's my bicep vein? Where's all this stuff? And then day 2, you go back to the gym and you look in the mirror again. You're like, where is it? People said you go to the gym, you get in shape. Then day 14 comes around. You're like, well, that was easier, but I still don't see the change. Day 30 comes around. You're looking at yourself again. You're like, I don't see it. Where's the change happening? And then all of a sudden, your friend who you haven't seen for 2 months comes in the room. And that friend goes, dude, you've been working out? You look awesome. Well, you couldn't see it yourself because you were staying consistent, but you were getting adapted to your own appearance. Someone who hasn't seen you in forever looks at you and says, oh my gosh, you have obviously changed something in your life. You are a different person than who you were when I saw you a month ago. It's like when you don't see one of your kids' friends for a while, then they come over and you're like, when did you turn into a 6-foot monster?
Right.
How does that happen?
Yeah.
And so it's the repetition over time. And then that same person who looked in the mirror for 30 days straight, didn't see any changes, 3 months down the line is going to look into the mirror and be like, oh, I am not the same person. They start to recognize it. That's what happens with chiropractic care. Okay. It's not a chiropractic adjustment. Solves all the problems. It's consistency over time.
And I feel like in my health journey at 50, it's just one tool in my toolbox. You 100%. Mentioned nutrition. 100%. You mentioned athletics, like working out.
Gotta be.
So it's just another thing just to be overall well-rounded.
Yeah. And it actually, because of the influences of the brain, you'll see the other things accelerate in progress.
You will.
Yeah, because it changes the way the gut works and the speed of absorption.
Okay.
It changes the way athletic development works. That's why in the during the Olympics, they have in the Olympic athlete village, they have chiropractors on standby because it speeds up recovery. It increases the capacity to handle more stressors.
Well, that tells you something there.
Mm-hmm.
I got another question for you, and then
Please.
I'll ask you if there's anything I haven't asked for you in this wheelhouse. But
Yeah.
what about blood flow, the importance of blood flow into healing those areas? Have they found that there's science behind that? Like, do you do cupping or any type of that?
So I don't do that in my practice specifically, but I work with quite a few practitioners around. I'm very spoiled in St. Pete with the amount of doctors in that space that I have at my disposal to send patients to. So many. I'm very blessed. Very blessed. Simplest way to think about blood flow is blood carries two things that our body needs: oxygen and nutrients. If you don't have oxygen to the cells, they can't function with all of the metabolic reactions that require oxygen. If you don't have fuel, nutrition to the area, it can't supply the area with what it needs. So you'll get symptoms. Let's say if you don't have right oxygen flow, you'll get that numbness, tingles into the hand because it cuts off the blood flow. It's like if you fall asleep on your arm and your arm, you wake up and it's like still numb and tingles. That's because of the blood flow, lack of blood flow. So if you need oxygen, you need fuel for any tissue down the line to function, then yeah, you need good blood flow to those areas. If we entrap the blood flow, then two things happen. Not just blood out to the area, but blood back into the heart gets changed up. If blood flow gets stagnant in the extremities down here, then it gets deoxygenated, uses up all the oxygen in it, and then it's supposed to go back in your veins. But if there's an entrapment that freezes the blood flow from getting there, now your heart can't oxygenate at the right pace. And over enough time, those tissues start to break down, get more different pain syndromes and things. So blood flow is absolutely necessary.
Are there ways to increase blood flow?
Yeah, so I mean, you can consciously control it by making sure you're increasing your heart rate. So going out for a run, go for a walk. You don't have to go for a run. Literally going for a walk will increase your heart rate. Standing up increases your heart rate. It's supposed to, because you have to get more blood to the areas. You should have good cardiovascular health, because the better your heart can pump fluid, the faster it can get to the areas it needs to get to, the faster it can reoxygenate things. So you have to have good blood flow, and you have to use your heart by doing aerobic cardiovascular kinds of things. Have to.
Okay.
Have to.
Any other questions that I should have asked you in this wheelhouse of chiropractic care that I didn't, that you're just dying for me to?
Oh man, I could just talk about that all day long. That's my whole life right now, is the ways that I can help with neurology.
Are there any new advancements in your field that you're excited about?
I think one of the big ones that I care most about is the biggest one in my heart, especially with my own kids' stories, is the developmental disorder side of it. The ADHD, autism, sensory processing disorder, these kind of mental health things. Because it used to be primarily kids getting these diagnoses, but the kids of 20 years ago who got the diagnoses are now adults. Those adults are having kids, and the kids are getting the diagnosis again. So the developmental disorders,
Listen, these disorders you're talking about,
yeah.
Again, this just came out within my lifetime. I remember never hearing about it, and then it seems like the last 20 years, it feels like it's progressively more and more. Like it would be, if you don't have ADHD, you're a weirdo. It's
kind of how, it is termed as it's a spectrum, right? So there's going to be people who have all of it, people who have none of it, people in the middle. And so, but what's happening is everyone's trying to figure out why these things are happening. And that we're always looking at this developmental disorder conversation from like a textbook point of view, where it's like, it's only one system or it's only this other system. Mm-hmm. And what's nice is there was a report that came out recently by the McCullough Foundation, I believe is what it was. And it showed the multifactorial elements that contribute to autism spectrum disorder, that it can't be blamed on one thing or the other. It has to be blamed on a bunch of stuff. There has to be a lot of perfect storm things in the same way, all happening at the same time. There has to be gut dysbiosis, the way the gut bacteria works. There has to be toxic overload. There has to be lifestyle changes that are leading to a higher propensity of these problems happening. And then in our work, as far as the upper cervical world and chiropractic world goes, is the increase of understanding of how, if you have less, it's called disafferentation, or rather, let's start with dyskinesia, less movement, improper movement in the body, the brain can't make those good executive decisions. So if you have improper movement in the body, it sends the improper signal to the brain. That's dyskinesia to disafferentation. And then it ends up working its way down the line into a dysautonomia. And dysautonomia is a dysfunction of that fight or flight, rest and digest, where you're heightened in fight or flight all the time, even if you're in a beach sipping a coconut, kind of relaxed state. And when you have an increased stressor load over too much time while other stressors are piling on top of it, you end up with disorder. And so right now in the chiropractic world, some really incredible doctors are working on trying to bring that concept to light. We talk about the 3 T's, traumas, toxins, and thoughts. The increase in cesarean sections, in vacuum deliveries, forceps deliveries, is leading to an increased chance of that dyskinesia in the upper neck, in the cranial bones, in the sacrum, in the rest of the spine. That disafferentation leads to that dyskinesia leads to the disafferentation, leads to the dysautonomia, leads to the developmental disorders. And what's nice is these doctors are working really hard on getting that to be part of the conversation again, because that's why we'll see ADHD go from a dysfunction into a superpower. And I haven't met many entrepreneurs recently who are not some level of ADHD, because you have to be. Right. How many hats are you putting on as a business owner? You got the employee mentor hat, you got the financial hat, you got all these different hats. You have to be a little ADHD. But it's not a disordered thing when you can shift focus quickly.
Understood.
As long as you can make the shifts and have self-control over those things. But when you have these dysautonomic things, the shifts aren't able to be made. And so these kids, if we can change the kinesia, change the movement, we can change the afferentation, we can change the autonomia, and then we can have that awesome health that we want all these kids to have. Change a generation.
So if I'm understanding this right, you think an ADHD diagnosis through chiropractic care can be focused in a positive direction?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'll see that often in my practice. So I'll give you awesome. This is a cool testimony. This kid was wild. So he's always jumping off the walls, this young one. He's just bouncing, going crazy. And he starts care with us because his mom's like, okay, there's something that we can do. I bet it's neurologic, but I don't know what to do about it. So maybe you can help. And it was literally just like, maybe you can help kind of an approach is what this mom was going for. And he just did his testing to go out of 3rd grade. They do pre-testing, at least here in the state of Florida, and at least in Pinellas County, they did pre-testing for his reading scores. How good was he at reading and comprehension and things? And he scored a 1 out of 5 on that test at the beginning of the year. If he continued doing that, he would fail out of the grade, and he'd have to repeat over again. So he starts care with us, and that was about halfway through the school year that he started. So he was pretty much on this track of like, you're going to fail, you're going to fail, you're going to fail, you're going to fail. There's no way. Like he wasn't making any progress.
How old is this kid?
I think he's 8. Pretty sure 8 or 9. And so like the people around him aren't telling him he's going to fail, but all of his scores are showing him, yep, if you can't bring this focus, if you can't focus in, you're not going to make it. You're going to be stuck in this grade again. Well, over the course of our care, we do the chiropractic work with him. We do some eye work. We do some vestibular work with him, all within about 120, 160 days or so. And then he gets to decrease his care because he's doing really nicely. And he takes the test at the end of the year. And first off, when we started the care, his spelling test scores went from getting like 50s and 60s up to hundreds. He was like starting to ace his spelling test scores because he could focus on studying. He could focus on memorization. He could focus on the test. It still has ADHD, but it's focused. It's focused ADHD, which is a wild thing to be able to say. He takes the final test at the end of the year and he scores almost a 5.
Wow.
And his mom is an ex-teacher, so she kind of like framed it for me, helped me understand what that means. It's like if you go from a 1 to a 5 in any subject, that does not happen.
Right.
You'll go from a 1 to a 3.
Right.
You'll go from a 3 to a 4. But you're not going to go from a 1 to a 4. And so they were over the moon. So it took his dysfunctional ADHD and allowed him to harness it where he could study faster and assimilate information faster and catch back up. So superpower, not dysfunction.
As you're talking about that, my youngest daughter, she just turned 16 yesterday. She was at school on the playground when she was, Michael, how old was she? 10, 11? Ella, when she got hurt. 11 years old. She was on the playground at school, and there's the tunnel. You know, you go down the slide.
Yeah,
and there's a
yeah,
tunnel.
yeah.
She was sitting on top of the tunnel, and there's this game where if you sit on top of it, you know, you're the queen, or
Okay.
if you're a boy, you're the king, and you get to tell who gets to go down.
Right on.
Go down my tunnel, you know. So she's straddling this tunnel, and the kids are, you know, waiting to be told if they can go down. And so she gave one of her subjects permission to go down the tunnel, and that kid's older sister wanted to be the person to be. She wanted to be the queen.
Gotcha.
So she told her little brother, "Hey, when you go down, pull Ella down.
She staged a coup.
Pull her down with you." So he runs and goes down the slide, and he grabs her by both her arms, and he pulls her, and she hit her head on the
Right on.
hit her head, the front of her face, slid all the way down the slide, and went to try to find a teacher. And anyway, long story short, she had cracked rib.
Wow.
We pulled her out of school for a year because she had concussion.
Yeah.
So this happened like on a Thursday or Friday. Sunday, my wife calls me and she's like, "Keith, Ella can't walk and she can't see." So we took her back to the hospital, and they're like, "Oh my goodness, what happened to her? She'd been in a car wreck."
Mm-hmm.
Well, she got pulled down a slide 3 days ago. She was complaining about her ribs and stuff, not the other stuff. So we had taken her twice. So through that injury, she had chronic migraines. And the best way they could describe it was, you know, when you're driving down, you drove down I-75 on the way here.
Yep, that's right.
Okay? So you're driving down I-75, your vision, you see the trees, but the trees are blurry.
Yeah.
Her eyes are trying to focus on each one of those trees. If you can imagine driving down 75 at 75, 80 miles an hour, her
Yeah.
eye is trying to focus on each one of those trees in time.
It doesn't get rid of unnecessary information. It focuses on every single point.
Every single point. Lost her appetite because she's nauseous.
Yeah.
We pulled her out of school for a year because she couldn't. School's off the table now. Migraines every day. I bought her a freaking little puppy just to give her something to distract her. Went through all the PT stuff, that the mainstream stuff you're supposed to do. Did all of it. Not hitting any milestones.
Mm.
We came to the end of it. It's like, all right, that's it. You finished your training. Well, no, we're not, because she's still having migraines. They diagnosed her with depression. That was their answer. Their answer was to write her a script for depression and say that's her problem.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you'd be depressed too.
Mm-hmm.
If you had a freaking migraine every day of your life, everybody else is going to school and your life is on pause. You're just sitting there.
Yeah.
So,
what did you guys end up doing?
We noticed a shift in her emotionally. Like, she's given up, bro. She's given up.
When did that depression diagnosis come in? If you can share, I don't want to be too intrusive.
At the very end of the PT, when, hey, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And they exhausted all their
their potentials,
mainstream stuff. They exhausted everything they could do. So I went to my chiropractor, my holistic chiropractor that I wish I would have went to the first time, but because this was such a traumatic thing,
yeah,
I'm thinking this is a medical thing, and it was.
Sure.
So I go to my.
I think you guys made the right call going to the hospital now, and you start there.
Absolutely,
you start there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I go to my chiropractor guy. Hey, here's what's going on. He referred us to this place. It's called Plasticity. Have you ever heard of it?
Plasticity?
Plasticity.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard of this place?
It depends. I know of a place in St. Pete called Neuroplasticity.
That's it.
Is that the one?
That's the one.
Right on. Good friend of mine over there.
Listen,
do you remember the doctor's name?
My wife does, because my wife spent a week up there with my daughter.
Yeah.
So we stayed in the hotel across the street, and every day we did training for a week.
Right on.
So 2 things. I sent her up there Cost me, I think, 10, 15 grand. They did some tests with her eyes. They put her in this gyro thing. Because
Okay, I think I know what place you're talking
she
about.
was she didn't know where she was in space and time. Her brain was she was always dizzy, so she don't know where she's at in space and time.
Correct.
So when she said, close your eyes and walk. So she closed her eyes as she's walking,
Yeah.
she couldn't go straight.
Yep.
Just like when you said, hey, when you close your eyes, you know where your arm is. She
Yep.
don't
She
know
couldn't
where
know.
her arm is.
Correct.
So they measured that arc that she walked with her eyes closed. They put her in this freaking gyro thing that they invented, and they flipped her around in this thing.
Yep.
And said, okay, now walk. And it would get better,
Eventually get to straight.
eventually straight. But
Yeah.
they deal with a lot of like athletes,
Mm-hmm.
football with concussions, hockey players, stuff like that. So $10,000 a week later. And then we did some little stuff at home, some little home treatments. She's good to go. When she was good, they were going to diagnose her with
depression and get her on
depression
antidepressants
and
the rest
put
of her
her on
life.
some antidepressants.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that, and then there was a company that you can go to that they do hyperbaric air chambers.
Oh yeah,
they
HBOT.
were going out of business, and I bought one. That was another 10 or 15 grand, and put her in a hyperbaric air chamber.
There you go.
So having you on here talking about, I told you when I was a kid, chiropractic care was like voodoo stuff
Stigma,
or whatever.
yeah.
It hits close to home because without
that referral, you don't end up at that clinic. You don't have the same daughter you do today.
No.
Yeah.
And she would think like things would come so easy to her in school. Now she has to work a little harder.
Yeah.
She forgets things still a little bit, but we got her back. Yeah. So
huge jump from what the outcome of life would have been.
Your body is trying to reset itself. It's
Mm-hmm.
trying to heal itself. And the medication just kind of like masks that stuff.
Very often, yeah.
And I was so excited. That after a year and a half, we found a place that fixed my daughter. Now we called that other doctor and said, hey, there's this place. And they didn't even care. You would think that if you go to a new restaurant, this really awesome restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
man, you got to try this place. You think, man, I have other patients.
But cue that investigative mind.
Let me know who it is. It just really blew my mind, bro, because they knew this journey we went through with my daughter. They knew. And they exhausted all that they could do. And there's this place just right up here that can help. I'm still processing like medical care and all this kind of stuff.
Sure.
I think everybody does what they're supposed to do, what they think is best.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's a balance between why can't the mainstream medical community and the holistic side work together?
Yeah.
I don't know why it has to be this or that, or why can't it be both?
Yeah.
You
How
understand
can we strike the nice balance?
Why
between
can't
the
we
two?
just let the patient be how can we help this person instead of being, I feel like it has to be one or the other.
Yeah.
And I think you said there's, in your wheelhouse, you're seeing a bridge back and forth.
Much more
the two?
commonly. Yeah.
Much more commonly.
Yeah. We're seeing a big jump in that, which is really exciting. And like MTBI care, mild traumatic brain injury care, is increasing, especially in the upper cervical chiropractic world, with veteran care, football players, things like that, to make sure that the results of concussion are able to be treated quickly and if possible permanently, where we're able to actually have a full recovery beyond it. Because there's a whole slew of mechanisms that happen during different types of concussions, whether it's a blast injury for a veteran, or if it's a football whiplash injury, or a car whiplash injury, or a pull down a slide head plant straight on your face there. The things that happen as a result of that, that's one of those huge traumas. And so we need the brain to become adaptable to resist those things when they come, but also to recover should it actually cause a serious damage to it. There's some really awesome research. Actually, the Dr. Chris Slininger is heading up some pretty incredible studies on that. We're getting those things off the ground on what MTBI care could be for veterans, how to, the current mechanisms, or not mechanisms, the current approach to healing with it is put in a dark room, take some painkillers and maybe a little psilocybin mushroom kind of stuff and see what happens. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't match physiologically what's going on during a mild traumatic brain injury, the different neurologic implications, the brain injuries, the spinal fluid flow dynamics, the blood flow too from the brain, ocular, vestibular. And so when you put all those pieces together, there should be a physiologic plan in place. And Dr. Chris Slininger is doing a really good job of spearheading that movement. He's a veteran himself too. And huge heart for the veteran community and wants to change that outcome.
Well, I'm thankful that he's doing that work. Mm-hmm. And I'm thankful that neuroplasticity, whoever decided to
was over there,
that up, thank you. Because what was going on with my daughter, again, my wife was on the front lines of that. But there was like 3 or 4 things that were going on simultaneously, and their brain was trying to prioritize, and it just kept getting like a reset, like just it couldn't. So they identified the 4 things that were going on, and like, okay, the path of least resistance is we'll do this one first, and just started like resetting everything, and it just, dude, we spent a week up there, and there's like a month worth of therapy in home. It was like day and night. So this kind of stuff is, I want to get it out there.
Absolutely.
You put neuroplasticity in the link, bro. I owe them like a huge.
Yeah, I got some good doctors up there to work with. Yeah. Yeah. So that's some of the cool stuff that's going on between pediatric care and MTBI care and these holistic. There's a lot more available, a lot more tools available, a lot more approaches available than what has been in the past.
That's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and thank you. I mean, like, I thank God for you that God put you on this path to be in that position, because it's needed. Mm-hmm. It's needed in this space that we're in. Yeah. Know how the body works, that the body wants to self-heal, and to give it the tools it needs to self-heal. That's right. Yeah, it's good. It sounds so simple. Yeah. I wish we have a principle that we try to apply, and that's it's got to be napkin simple. It's got to be napkin simple. Some of these complexities, some of these things we've done, we've had the long form today that we could like expand on it, break it down. But it should all be broken down at napkin simple. If you can explain something to a 10-year-old, you know it's that. And health principles kind of fall into that category. It's more principles. You can get really nitty gritty with it, or you can just apply the principles and let the fruit show up. Good. Yeah. I got 2 more segments I want to move on with you.
Sure.
Before we do, you want to take a little break, or?
Yeah, let's take a second. All right. Take a second.
This part of the podcast is brought to you by Vance Ranch. Vance Ranch is our family 100-acre ranch in Hendry County. We have a 6,000 square foot barn where we host wedding venues, corporate events, anniversary parties, and whatever else you want to use it for. Find the link in the bio. Now let's get back to the show. Brother, we're back.
Absolutely.
All right, we hit some heavy stuff, some deep stuff, some really sciencey stuff. You're using some words that I was going like this. Yeah. But I got to go back and check Google. All right.
That's fair enough.
But I think you explained it well enough. I understood it. So thank you.
I wear the glasses for the part there. Thank you. Pretty big nerd.
So I can't have you on and not talk about some fun stuff.
Yeah.
So Ninja Warrior, everybody knows American Ninja Warrior. At least you should.
Hopefully at this point they've done a good job.
So let's talk about that for a while.
Yeah. What do you want to know?
How did you get on it? Like what inspired you to want to do that? What was the training like? Like all of it. Like just as you think about that knot in your stomach to compete. Yeah. Like, so walk me through it.
Yeah. So that was back when that was a family that I played Frisbee with. Is they invited me to that ninja gym, and I had a great time that first day. And it felt natural to me, playing on the bars, doing the salmon ladder, that bar hop obstacle, the warped wall, that curve wall they got to run up. that was it was a really cool first introduction. It felt like I was like ready for that sport. And then, you know, while doing that, we went to there's another gym down, or I guess from here it's up in Palmetto, called Live Training Center, and they had a competition that was available to us, and went and competed. And actually, let me backtrack, because the first one was over in Fort Lauderdale, my first competition of an obstacle course. Like, I've been training a little bit, and I was having fun with it. I was doing pretty good with like my own little training that this family had in their backyard. They're actually the owners of Jungle Gym over in my neck of the woods.
Okay, cool.
Awesome family, incredible story. But they built some of the obstacles in their backyard, and I was good friends with them. And so I went and hung out and played. And they invited me to one of the competitions over in Fort Lauderdale, and I blew it. They have very strict rules at that competition as far as like what's in and out of bounds.
Oh.
And I was crushing it. I was having a great time. And then I just stepped out of bounds and it DQ'd me.
Oh, no.
And I was like, come on, you gotta let me finish the run. Like, and he's like, I can't. League rules are if you step out of bounds. And I was livid. I was so mad. I was like sulking in a corner, and I was so upset. And the dad, his name's Jason. He came over to me, and he encouraged me, and he was like, listen, maybe we can get you to do the test run for the second wave, and let's just go talk to the owner of the gym and see what he says. So I went over, talked with him, and he's like, yeah, you can do the test run for the next guys. It won't count towards your official standing, but you could do the test run. And so I demoed all the obstacles, and I did all of them. And I was like, come on, how did I step out of bounds? So that was my first experience competing. Got those jitters out. The second time around was at this place, Live Training Center. And this is going to be a 3-stage competition. And it has a 1 do-over rule. On the qualifying round is at this time, this league was if you mess up on an obstacle, you can do 1 do-over. And your second mess up, you're done. That's the end of your run. And it was what I felt like it was a very simple course. And I was like, as soon as the guy with the timer says go, I'm taking off. And about halfway through, I do a little misstep, and I went on the other side of a line that I wasn't supposed to go on. So he said, go back. So I went back, did it, crushed it. And I still got first place overall in that run. It was like nearly a sub 1 minute speed run.
Wow.
And it was compared to what exists now in Ninja, it was very low level. The sport has exploded. And, I just like felt natural. And then on that day, I think I took second place overall to some veterans who had been practicing for a number of years. And I'm the tallest, biggest dude. I was 205 pounds at that time competing against.
That's one reason why I liked watching you, because they're all little rock crawlers. And then you got you're like a football player to them. Like, support the big guys.
Yeah, there was like 3 of us in the Ninja world that were like huge guys, like 195 and above. And yeah, so I was able to keep up with the smaller athletes who were just explosive and quick and agile, and I loved that. I attribute that a lot to my chiropractic history, that my neurology was like primed to perform. But yeah, so I do that competition. I do really well in it. I get qualified for, I think that qualified me for nationals that year. So my dad and mom encouraged me, and I fly out to nationals and compete and blow it on that stage. And that was a bummer. I just messed up. I just went too slow. I didn't train. I thought I was good enough, and I didn't continue to train.
Where was this at?
I was over in Texas. Over in Houston.
That's when they had in Houston?
Yeah, it wasn't the show. These are all like little sub-leagues that kind of went from that, delineated from it. It wasn't until 2018 that I had a chance to get on the show.
Okay.
And again, it was Jason, the owner of Jungle Gym over there in Pinellas Park. He called me up and he goes, "Hey, I heard you're going up to Minneapolis," because I was visiting a friend of mine who had moved up there. And I'm like, "Yeah, what's going on?" He goes, "There's a gym up there that I visited that has a 21-foot warped wall, and the show is 14 feet, and so it's like 7 more feet." And he's like, "You should go give that a shot." I was like, "There's no way I can do that." And like no one had done it in this point.
Bro,
like
that's over 2 stories.
It's insane. It's this huge warehouse. And he's like, "You can do it." I'm like, "There's no way I can do that. That's so high." And so I fly up and I convince my friend group who I went with. I'm like, hey, can we go to this ninja gym? It's going to cost everyone $20, but can we go to this ninja gym and run this thing? They have a competition. No one's done this wall. Can we please take one like afternoon and go do this thing really quick? And they're like, yeah, sure. So we went to their open gym, went to the gym's open gym, talked to the owners there and got warmed up. And then just like, it's like an hour long open gym, maybe 2 hour open gym. And I procrastinated for like an hour. I'm like, you just walk in, it's this beast of a wall.
It's ominous.
You're just looking at it. You're like, no way. And your run up is like how the gym was structured is like in front of you, there's the huge wall. You walk in the building, there's the huge wall. And then about 12 feet horizontal space. And then there's the next set of walls, which are like 14 feet, 10 feet, and 6 foot. So you only have like 12 feet of run up to get up into the thing. And so I'm looking at this, no way. I'm playing on the obstacles, procrastinating on the challenge that I set out to do. And my friends are like, we have to leave soon. The gym's going to close. If you don't start, you're not going to get it. And so I'm like, all right, let me just give it a shot. And so I do a quick trial run and there's a bunch of tape on it for the highest runners. And I hit the bottom tape, which is like, I think 14 feet. And I hit that bottom tape. I'm like, okay, cool. All right, I can get 14 feet. And then I aimed for the middle tape and I hit like 17 feet. I'm like, okay, 17 feet. I can do that. 21 feet. God, that's high. And so I'm just like sitting on the warped wall on the other side of the gym, just like looking at this thing for like 5 minutes. I stand up, try to explode up. And I get, I think 18 feet. And I tap that and I'm like, 18 feet. That's pretty close. They're all like excited. It's a huge slide down. So it's kind of nerve wracking the whole way down.
That's what I was going to get at. If you don't get it, the higher you get, you're coming down.
So like the trick is to not fall off and fall 18 feet onto your head. Terrifying thing to overcome. But if you just lean forward, you'll make it. And so going 30 minutes goes by. I got probably like 20 minutes left of open gym. And they're like, if you don't get it done, like we have to close. Like we can't leave it open longer for you. We're closing. It's the afternoon. We have to be done. So there's like buzzer that has to be done. And I'm just like, try, fall. And then like, I probably my 13th or 14th, give it a shot. I run up and my fingers graze the 21 foot mark. And I'm like, it's possible. I can do this. There's no way I fail today. It has to be. I got 10 minutes left. That gives me 3 runs. I have to be able to pull this off. Because when you're doing explosive training, it's got to be longer rests so you can have max output.
Right.
And so I'm like, I can get this. I know I can. I got all the kids in the gym are like staring at me. The staff's staring at me. My friends are like video recording every trial, every mess up. That one I came down. I was like head in my hands. Like I gotta pull this off. And I just like stand up and I've got like I think it's the chorus of "Won't Back Down" by Eminem in my head at this point. Don't know why that popped in my head, but it's like I can do this. And so I take off and I sprint up the wall and I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna get this, but I'm gonna give everything I got. I jump and my fingertips up to my second knuckle grab it. I still remember the feeling of like there's a little wood lip up there.
Yeah.
And that wood lip is just big enough that if you hit your first knuckle, your other finger will curl over and you're cinched. You're done. You got it. And I felt my hand curl that top. I grab it and like it took the whole gym was like silent for like a second. So like he's not falling. He's not falling. And then just eruption. And I'm like hitting the wall. I'm like, but I don't want to come down. And I look down. I'm like, oh my God, 21 feet up. And I slide down and I'm like doing flips and jumping, high-fiving the kids. And that was the first official completion of that wall.
That's cool.
And remember, we talked way early on in this episode here. The once you break the glass ceiling,
yes,
limits are limited.
And that's what I was getting at. As you're talking about this warped wall, you're hitting the 14 foot because I've done the 14 foot.
There you go.
And then you go in the 18 feet. Okay, you're working your way up. Like the way your brain has to adapt and like, okay,
trust it.
Okay. So like, why don't you just go for it? Like, how come we're not built just to
stare, right?
Just go for it.
So yeah, it is wild because then they hosted a competition. They called me back up for it. I wasn't able to fly up, unfortunately. Had some finals that had to get done because I was an undergrad at the time. And they called me up for a comp and they were like, hey, who can run up the wall? And they had like, I think 20 or 30 of the top ninja athletes coming out now. And they tried to run it and still like none of them were hitting that mark until they opened the front door had the guys run from outside the front door up the wall. And then like a couple of the guys got it, which was super, super cool. And I'm still like puffing my chest, like, haha, I went from the shortest distance at that time. And so I got that. So I ran up that wall. And then when Ninja Warrior auditions were coming around, you make a video, you submit that video, maybe they call you back. And so I had that video. I was like, I was the first guy to do this 21-foot warped wall. And Ninja's like, you're an awesome athlete, come on out. And so because I had placed really well at local comps and I was like one of the better ninjas in the circle I was a part of, I didn't train as hard as I needed to. Like I should have trained probably 10 times what I should have trained because I'm way too heavy for some of these longer obstacles.
Got it.
So I didn't do my diligence. I didn't do my dead hangs. I didn't do my reps the amount that I should have. I didn't train at 4 a.m. like they record the show at. That's why it's dark outside because they're recording it in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And I didn't train hard enough. And then I fell before the warped wall both times.
Wow.
And the warped wall they had there, that was the first year that they unveiled the mega wall as part of the challenge.
Yeah.
And so like it was, and that was only 18. I say only 18 feet. It's like that should have been possible. I should have pulled that off, but God had different plans.
Yeah.
The consequence of me not training was me falling on the obstacle, looking at the warped wall both nights. Huge bummer. Would have loved to go further, but I also know what my heart was like at that time. And I know that had I gotten the warped wall, which had like a $10,000 grand prize, if I had gotten that warped wall, I would have at that moment proposed to my then girlfriend, who's my now wife. I would have proposed to her, and she never would have gone on to be a massage therapist. She would have been stuck as a patient care tech, which she didn't enjoy. She went on to be a massage therapist because it wasn't like immediate marriage. You have to keep the job to make sure bills are met, stuff like that. She was able to explore that new avenue. I would have probably held her back in that avenue. And I would have pursued Ninja, never would have gotten to the doctor that I needed to be. And so I know that like God has been very gracious in like, it's like patting me on the head, you know, if you had gone that way, it would not have been the best thing for you. So it's why he closed that door, and he didn't allow me to achieve what I probably could have had I trained hard enough or something. It really held me back from that, which I was very grateful for looking backward.
It's still a good story and you get to experience it.
Oh yeah.
Like you're going to tell your kids.
Oh yeah. And we had those highs, we had those lows, we had those crushing moments of like that. I was like, man, what am I supposed to do then? If I can't do Ninja, what do I do? Well, let's go be an academic and go be a doctor and serve my family and serve more families. Because if you're not going to open a gym as a ninja, it becomes a bit more just kind of serving you.
Understood.
And it's not maliciously. It's just like the natural consequence of you're an individual sport. So I get the chance to serve a lot bigger problems than my own. I get to help people come from very like destitute places in their health to a functional thing, getting people who are bedridden out of bed, people who can't drive to drive. I'm helping people beyond my own family. And that's humbling. And you don't get that opportunity much in life.
Wow. It's a calling.
Yeah. Yeah. Like we talked about those callings there.
Yeah.
And then I did a couple other world comps and it just wasn't the right fit. God called me away from that. I went off into school, stopped training pretty much altogether. Kept my fitness, but my schedule in school was ridiculous. Like to be a doctor, to be a good doctor. You can be a doctor, but if you're going to do something well, right, you should just do it.
And you were built, just going back to your dad, you want a gym membership? Show me some discipline first.
That's right.
So that prepared you for the discipline to buckle down and be prepared to be a good doctor. Yeah.
Which I thought I was ready for. I thought I was like disciplined enough for it. But like in undergrad, you're doing like 19 hours of like credit hours of school. Chiropractic school is about 31 hours a quarter. So every 11 weeks, you're doing 31 credit hours of effort over 4 years.
Wow.
And if you're going to be a good chiropractor, you have to be training the things you've just learned. It's physical medicine. Your body has to be ready for that. Otherwise, you're going to break down. Well, they go off into school, and that's 2020. So COVID's happening, all the shutdowns and all that stuff. And my wife and I got married in 2019. By 2021, we have our first baby. So pregnant throughout 2020, have our first baby on January in 2021. And so my schedule throughout school is essentially 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. every day for 4 years.
Wow.
With a little bit of respite on Sundays to try to honor the Sabbath as much as I could. But I ran a study group so I could learn, teach, and help others move up with me.
Wow.
So 5 a.m. when you wake up and you go downstairs and you run your chiropractic drills, you study what you got to study, you review, you get ready for the day. You got class at 7, you're done with class at around 6. I get home, I have to take care of my baby while my wife goes off to work. I still got to study. So baby goes down to sleep and I'm sitting there studying until about 11 o'clock at night and, repeat, rinse and repeat over and over.
So we talked about stressors on the body.
Yep.
What was that like? And what was that time of life like for you?
That was exhausting. That was so exhausting. And that pushed me beyond limits I never knew. Like I didn't even know I had.
Really?
One of the things that I made sure to prioritize is one, I knew when I was getting out of school, I was going to have to tell people, despite how stressful your life is, you are going to need to make good healthcare decisions. Your life is stressful. You have to make good decisions, which means I had to drill that into myself over those 4 years. And so that 5 a.m. wake up time was 5 a.m., go down, do physical exercise, then do my physical chiropractic drills, then eat my breakfast, do my Bible, do my reading, do my prep for the day. And that was the first like hour and a half of every day. So many of my peers knew that that was necessary, but didn't consistently hit that mark. And so their health started deteriorating. And I watched them and it was really tough. And because of chiropractic, the way it works, they were able to stay consistent because we're all getting care while we're in school. So we were able to at least stay somewhat healthy. But like everyone who was an athlete going into school, almost all of them dropped off their athleticism by the end of it because it's so much stress around the body. I didn't want that to be the case. And I had kids to motivate me to keep going. My training did drop from pro level, from ninja, down to more like a casual level. I had probably 20 minutes a day to be efficient. So I had to get really good at working out, really, really good at how can I stress my body in 20 minutes a day. And I don't know if you ever tried 20 minutes of burpees. You ever tried? Yeah, it's exhausting. You'll get in shape. So it's 20 minutes of burpees, 20 minutes of pull-ups, 20 minutes of jump squats, go run around the neighborhood. You do what you can to make it happen. Do stretching on that day, do Bulgarian split squats on a chair in the living room, holding your backpack, or I bought some weights at some point and I was able to do that. And keeping that discipline allowed all those stressors, right? If the stressor can still be there, but I built my body to rise above the stressor so it didn't crush me.
So 20 minutes is a long time, but it depends on what you're doing.
Depends on what you're doing.
But everybody's got 20 minutes. Here you go. Here you carve 20 minutes out where it looks like you had to be regimented because what did you say? 5 a.m. to
11 p.m.
Okay.
Pretty much every day.
And so you still carved out 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Cause I knew the repercussions of if I didn't.
So 2,
yeah.
1, fitness, to build resilience.
Correct.
But also for me, fitness to detox the stress and everything.
Yeah, yeah. The endorphins that rise from it.
There's two sides of that.
Gotta have it.
It's so important.
Gotta have it. And we talk about heart rate, right? You gotta increase blood flow.
Yeah.
If you don't get your blood moving, it's gonna get stagnant. Not that it stops flowing. Your heart's going to pump.
Sure.
But it doesn't increase that stressor, which means it's not as efficient. It doesn't change the way that your aerobic capacity, going back to that, increases. It doesn't change the way your power output is. You have to be consistent. Your heart has to be strong. Your brain has to be sharp. If you don't move your body, it all wastes.
And then plus just you being providing healthcare for people, having been through that, you can identify with stress.
Very much so. And I mean, we've all had the PE coach who is telling you to run laps, but is very much overweight and sitting in the chair. I wasn't going to let that happen. I take a lot of issue with healthcare providers who are giving health advice despite not taking it themselves. I'm not a huge fan of talking the talk but not walking the walk.
Right.
It kind of goes back to like the book of James, like faith without works is dead.
Right.
It's like the evidence of your faith is that you work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we trying to balance that while going through school, being a good dad, being a good husband, being intentional, right? Going back to intentionality. I had responsibilities I had to step up for. If I didn't, something else would, or something would replace me. And we couldn't do that. It's God's giving me a task. And so I have to achieve it.
Michael, how much time do we have left? I don't want my daughter mad at me.
That's fair.
Probably 30 minutes.
All right, we can do this. There's plenty of time.
Yeah, that's good.
Just when we're getting close, just give me something. I don't want Brooke mad at me.
All right.
My daughter is the female version of me.
Oh, gotcha.
So, and we work together. So when I come into the room, I kind of size her up, like, hey, are you having a bad attitude today? Because I'm having a bad attitude. We both can't have a bad attitude at the same time.
You don't get to both have it.
So if she's got a bad attitude, I change my attitude.
There you go.
I'm never allowed to have a bad attitude if she's got one.
That's quite a skill, is to be in a good mood despite nothing to be in a good mood about.
She is me.
Yeah, about
Michael knows.
What, the apple fell straight down from the tree?
How does it feel to get in bed with your father-in-law every night, Michael?
Well, that's a wild thing to say.
Believe me, somehow my marriage ended up being basically the mirror opposite of your marriage. Brooke is you and I'm Karen.
That's it. It's so funny, dude. It's so hilarious.
How about that?
All right, so I want to move from the discipline of being in school, becoming a doctor, life as a father.
Yeah.
You're a new dad.
Yeah.
Like the fears, the failures, like all that stuff there, like the responsibility. What's stressing you out today?
You know what's stressing me out is the standard that fathers carry in the home from the Christian perspective.
Let's talk about it.
So Jesus is the standard of what a man ought to be, of what an individual ought to be. He's the prophet, he's the priest, and he's the king. Right? Well, there's the mirror of a marriage is Christ in the church. Well, rather, the marriage is the mirror of Christ in the church. That's the original, and we are the mirror of it. So Christ is the prophet, priest, and the king in the marriage of Christ and the church. And a marriage between a man and a woman, the husband ought to be prophet, priest, and king. If you are prophet, priest, and king, that means you're teaching to some extent.
So pause.
Yeah.
For people who may not know what prophet, priest, and king are or represent, what are those?
Yeah, so we have the king, the overseer of the entire nation, the one who governs all the things, who regally determines the direction of a nation and cares for the citizens within it. Prophet is the one who is not necessarily foretelling, but is definitely foretelling looking downward, or forthtelling, predicting according to patterns. And then priest is the expositor of right teaching. And so we're supposed to be, as husbands, not evil in the way we have kings. So back in the ancient times, you had Judah and Israel, and they had good kings and they had bad kings. We're supposed to be the God-fearing good kings, the ones who keep Christ at the center of our family, of our life. And we're supposed to rule that way, not in an overbearing, crushing kind of way, but in an encouraging, in a gentle, in a redirection towards Christ kind of way. We should be a mirror image of him. And we're supposed to,
Speaking of kings,
go.
Christ is referred to as a servant king.
Mm-hmm.
So when you talk about that mirror, just to give people a picture,
Yeah.
a servant king, in regard to our role as leaders, we are to serve our wife and children. Even though we're the strongest one in the room, we use our strength to serve, right?
Yeah, Jesus
So,
washing the disciples' feet.
all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So if you just picture these things, picture Christ. How did Christ do it? And that's our example, and that's our goal.
That's right. So we're supposed to be prophet.
He didn't come to be served. He came to serve.
Came to serve.
Man, it's good stuff. I'm
Yeah,
glad.
it's one of the most humble things.
Thankful for where we're going with this right now.
Yeah.
So go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No problem at all. So if we're supposed to be, because we're talking about like what's stressing me out, and that's why I'm laying all this groundwork, because it puts into perspective the single point. If we are supposed to be prophet, priest, and king, and we're supposed to teach, the Bible warns that the standard for teachers, they will be held to a higher standard. Teachers and leaders are supposed to be beyond reproach. So the standard for a father of a husband is to be beyond reproach. We have so much pressure to not screw up because there's this crazy trickle-down effect. when we set the standard of a high standard in a gentle way with our families, an intentional way with our families, they will come up to that. If we set the standard incredibly low, they'll come up to that too. They just won't achieve what needs to be done. And so the stress of being a husband and a dad is I have to be the caretaker for my family. I have to set the tone for my family. If I'm freaking out every single day, if I'm not relying on the Lord every single day, then my family won't either. And my wife actually convicted me on this recently. She, like I said, an incredible woman. And I didn't know who I was getting to this extent when I first married her. We are beyond blessed. She, my daughter was just stressing out over a toy or over a dress or something like that the other day. And she just needed time. And so I'm like, just go back to your room for a little bit, get a little bit more sleep. Like it's 7 a.m. They woke up for breakfast. Just go back, sleep a little bit longer, pray a little bit, you'll be good to go. And my wife was like, don't do that. I said, what do you mean? What do you mean don't do what? She's like, you need to pray with her. You need to show her what it looks like to actually lead her in prayer. She doesn't necessarily know how to do that. And I'm like, well, I've taught her how to. Shouldn't she know how to do it by now? We've prayed with her every single day since she was born. She's 5 years old. That's about 1,500 days. She better know how to do it a little bit. My wife's like, no, you need to guide her. And so she's like, go in there, pray with her. And then if she still needs time, give her the time. I'm like, okay, cool. So I go in and I'm like, hey, I talked to my 5-year-old and I'm like, hey, I forgot to do something and your mom corrected me on it. I need to pray with you. And so I prayed over her and just kept it really simple. I said, all right, now why don't you give it a shot to pray? She's like, I don't know how to pray. And that makes sense. Her brain's freaking out. So she would struggle with praying in that moment. So I helped guide her through a simple prayer. And I said, all right, now you take your time in here. I'm going to go eat breakfast with everyone. And when you're ready, come join us. Just take your time. It's okay. Spend some time with God. And she comes out about 20 minutes. Like I leave. She spends her time crying. She comes back out. And she's like, Dad, I said the Lord's Prayer. Because we've taught her the Lord's Prayer. So she knows that whole breakdown. The Father in heaven, hallowed be thy name. So she said that. She comes back and she's like, I feel a lot better. Thank you. She sits and eats breakfast with us and I go off to work. And so the standard is like, I have to make sure that I'm returning my kids to the right direction. I'm supposed to point them in the right direction. I'm supposed to guide them to Christ. And so it is stressful day in and day out. If I don't provide for there's another verse too, is if you don't provide for your family, you're worse than an unbeliever. That's terrifying. So that takes that financial load. You got to make sure you're doing it. You got to make sure you're providing for your family monetarily, spatially. You got to have a home for them. You got to have clothes on their back. They got to have freedom to do the things. They got to be taught. They have to have community around them. They got to have food in their bellies. That's a lot. It's a lot of pressure.
Which one's easier for you? Which one's harder for you?
What do you mean? Which?
Of all the roles that you're supposed to be fulfilling as a dad and a husband, which work is easier? Which work is heavier?
I think the easiest one for me is probably the king side of it, not the prophet or the priest. Because if you're going to be a prophet, you have to be attentive to a lot of things. You have to be able to notice the patterns and approach and then react appropriately. If you're going to be a priest, you have to be so dedicated in the word day in and day out. That has to absorb every thought that you're having. You have to be first to prayer. You have to be first to establish those things. And admittedly, I'm not that quick on those things. I'm a lot more of trying to solve it myself first. I'm notoriously terrible at solving things myself first. So you think I'd learn at this point? But then the king being able to like set what the standard of the family ought to be. Saying like, I want the family to go in this direction. I can lay out that plan. But I won't always, I struggle with the making sure that I have my plan, but I put God in front of that plan and let him actually guide the process.
Have you ever done what you're supposed to be as a father because they're watching you, but you're just doing it to check the box for them to see it? So, for instance, praying because you're supposed to, because they're watching you, or reading the word because you're supposed to, but you're just checking that box, but you're not. It's not for the right reason yet. It's just they're watching me. I'm just doing this my routine. I'm gonna check this box. Have you experienced that yet?
So one thing I'm very grateful for is God's put a lot of elders in my life. A lot of people who've made mistakes in the past that I don't want to replicate. I don't want to do the same mistake they've done. I'd rather make my own mistakes or hopefully make no mistakes. That's going to happen though. And I've been warned about that exact thing enough times that you can't put on the facade of faithfulness. And even if you're doing it, not always with the correct intention, like you might begrudgingly say, I'm going to stop all the work. I've been in this awesome workflow all day, but I need to stop so I can read my Bible with my kids, or I read my Bible because I haven't had God time, which means I'm egocentric as opposed to God-centric at that point. I've been warned about that enough that I haven't found myself slipping into that. Although probably this next week, I'm going to notice it a lot more now that you've kind of cued me into it. But I don't find myself doing it as a facade. I do it out of obedience. And Jesus tells a parable of two sons. The first one says, like the father says, go out and tend to the fields. And the first one says, yeah, okay, I'll go do it. And the father checks in with that son, and the son's not doing it. So the verbally obedient was not visually obedient, was not actionably obedient. The other son, he says, go tend to the fields. And the son says, no. And then the father looks out later and sees that son tending to the fields. And so Jesus poses the question, which one is the obedient son? So I don't think it matters how begrudgingly you are obedient. We want to obey with a happy heart, absolutely. But obedience for the glory of God isn't always a happy moment. It's much easier to give my kids the candy and not give them the good food. It's much easier to make sometimes just put them in front of the TV and let TV handle them for a few hours rather than engaging with them after a long day of work.
Talking to you, I'm just remembering like how I raised my kids and having devotion time, but it's something that we did because they need it. It's something that I'm the one supposed to be doing it, but I'm just doing it, check the box, as opposed to as I've grown, maybe we don't have devotions around the table, but if I've spent my time with God in the morning, it can't help but be an overflowing in those everyday moments. That's right. There's a difference there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just looking back at how I raise my kids and like the things I got right and things I got wrong. You know what I mean? And
I think the things that go wrong, it's so easy for husbands, for fathers to allow those things to crush them or make them feel disqualified from the profession, from being a dad, from being a husband. And I don't think that's what the gospel of grace teaches at all. Like Jesus welcomes us despite who we are and in spite of who we are, as opposed to because of who we're going to become. He doesn't welcome us in because when he pulls on our hearts, he's going to make us into this awesome, super rich person. He saves us because he chose to save us. He pulled us from the flock. He pulled us as the elect, as those who are meant to be his. And his high priestly prayer in John 17 is, those in my hand, the Father cannot, like no one can take away. Those are mine. Those are my sheep. They know my voice. And it doesn't, there's nothing that necessarily qualifies you to be a dad or a husband. There's enough grace that those heartstrings that are pulled, and you're like, oh man, I messed up. If you can even acknowledge that you made a mistake, then you know your heart's in the right place. People who don't care do not acknowledge mistakes. People who care acknowledge mistakes. So you get to have peace that like, yep, I messed up. Either I'm going to define my life by that mess up, or I'm going to acknowledge it, grow beyond it, handle it better the next time around. And then when you screw up again that time, you do it again. But acknowledge it, adapt beyond it, handle it better the next time around.
So you got 3 little ones in the other room. I can hear them.
They are. I can hear them running around.
I can hear them going potty there. Out of everything that I've done in life and been in life, like if something was to define me, like I'm a dad.
Mm.
Yeah, brother.
Not a husband?
I'm a dad and a husband. Now I'm a grandfather.
There we go.
You know what I mean? Dad, husband, grandfather. Like, thank God. We talked about your work. You know, God has a specific place and a thing for you to do. Yeah. I think as men, He baked into us to be those providers, protectors, like those things in us to design us Correct. To be who we're supposed to be. And then when you have the opportunity to be a husband, you have the opportunity to be a dad to 3 little girls, and you get to work those things out. It's so satisfying. It's what we're designed for when we do it according to His leadership, the way He did it, right? Mm-hmm. When we make ourselves the king, when we make ourselves all those things, that's when things spiral out of control, right? We pursue Him, right? And then they follow dad, you know, follow husband as we pursue that's Him, right. As he's the focus.
That's right.
So even though it is, that's scary having to be the one to be responsible for those little ones and guiding them, but
it is no small task.
I would have no other life, bro.
Yeah, I would agree entirely. Like if I think who asked me this question? A lot of kids in my generation will ask the question, like, if you could go back to any year, what would it be? And I have some friends who are like, oh, 2016 was like the best year of my life because that was a pretty cool year. There was some cool stuff going on in that year. Technology hadn't completely decimated attention spans and things like that. So it was a cool year. And they asked me like, oh yeah, 2016. I go, that was a good year, but I didn't know my wife then. So it's like, could you go back to any year? It's like, I can't, because if I went back to 2017, I wouldn't have any of my kids right now. If I went back to 2021, I wouldn't have 2 of the 3. If I went back to 2024, I wouldn't have 1 of the 3. And I can't imagine life without all of them.
Sure.
You know, God has been so gracious, despite my failings, to trust me with the stewardship of these little lives. And it's such a blessing. It's such a humbling thing to know that myself, as messed up a person as I am, that I get the chance to fill my quiver and bless the next generation with 3 super cool kids. And if we get more, then that'd be incredible. And if we are done at 3, then so be it. That's the Lord's will. We were blessed to even have the 1. We didn't start out with 1. We actually started out with miscarriage. And so that was tough for us. Then we have our rainbow baby. And now we have the 3 beyond that. And then we've got a cool one up in heaven that we get to meet one day. And peaceful. We get to have peace. Like the Philippians, I think it's in Philippians, the peace that surpasses all understanding.
Yeah.
That's what comes with the gospel.
Good. You're 26?
29.
You're 29?
29.
I'm glad I reached out to you.
Likewise.
I'm looking forward to developing a friendship with you. And at 29 years old, it's inspiring that you've connected a lot of dots so quickly. We're talking about things I wouldn't have thought I'd be talking to with a 29-year-old doctor kid. Doctor kid.
Doctor kid.
29 years old.
Yeah.
So I think that's says a lot about you and your spiritual growth. Says a lot about you and how you're raised. Like, I'm sure your dad's an amazing guy.
Pretty cool. I like him.
Yeah.
He and I are friends.
And then even your wife, your helpmeet there, just being around here for those last few minutes, where you and I have good wives.
Yeah. Good wife is hard to find.
Yeah. Any other thing you want to hit before we wrap this thing up?
Man, we've covered a whole ton. Anything more? I'll get on a whole new rabbit trail and we'll talk for another 4 hours. Yeah.
All right, let's close it
That's
down.
Good.
I'll keep my daughter from being upset with me. My son-in-law is going to be on time. I'm going to give you some money in your hands. You can take it to her for a birthday.
Little bribe there.
You and I will get some lunch.
Let's do it.
We'll go hit a lift. What do you want to do for a lift today? What would you do today on your training?
Oh man. Yeah, I'm following a program right now to get a 40-inch vertical before I turn 30.
Yeah.
So I have until December to pull that off.
I don't want to jump. I don't want to jump today.
If you don't want to jump today, then we'll see what you got equipped and we'll kind of make it up as we go. I'm good with that.
All right, bro, let's get
Sweet.
it.